Valorant. 181. We're so back. We're doing another podcast. Valorant, it's saved. We've started stage 2. We finally have interesting comps. Icebox has been made interesting. The game has changed, some have said. Welcome back, guys. I'm Mimi. I have Sideshow. I have Stephen Liggy. And special guest, Dan Dryad.
I was like, is she going to say the whole thing again?
That's your legal name, no?
Of course you are. Of course you're going to say it again. That's fine.
How are you, Dan? Thank you for coming on.
I'm fine. It's really early, but I'm fine. It's fine. It's all good.
Most passive-aggressive intro of all time.
Yeah.
You guys maybe wake up super early. But no, I'm doing it.
I'm so glad you're so happy to be here. I can see the joy in your eyes, Dan.
I'm about to change the course of Plat chat like I did last time I was here. So I'm excited.
What did you change last time?
So you guys had me one time, and it was when it might have been the worst tier list you ever had for a Game Changers Championship. When we put G2 like number 6, crew number 2. So I'm excited to do that again and then not come back for the next 2 years. Let's go, guys.
Okay. I'm excited about that.
What kind of terrible power ranking can we just shove into the run of show today? We weren't planning on doing one, but now, I mean, what should we power rank? Anything.
We should just add like an NA Challengers power ranking where we're all clueless and we put like, I don't know, M80 12. I don't think there's 12 teams. I don't know if M80's good, but that sounds perfect to me.
Yeah, sure.
Sliggy, how are you? You've been watching a lot of games. It feels like Valorant is a little refreshed now with this new patch coming in.
Yeah, dude, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. Just some of the raw skill at the moment is crazy. Like I can't get the Jawgemo Neon out of my head. It was
that one round on Sunset is just rent free in my head.
Yeah, and so I feel like I think about it like twice a day now. It's just insane. But yeah, it's fun to watch at the moment. Some teams adapting, some teams not. It's a hard time to be a team at the moment, or like in a team. You mess up and you don't adapt to the meta, and you're just gonna get wrecked at the moment.
You reckon? Because I'm not
100%
about that. I was thinking about this. I don't know whether Neon is going to be just like permapick on all of the maps where it makes sense to play.
I don't know if it matters if it's permapick. I still feel like not having time to change makes it challenging enough, and we've seen that with some of the like early upsets.
I think it's all about having that person in the team that can be the Neon that can take over. I'm not super. I think the ISO teams have kind of got it down how to play against it. But when I watch the Neons and you've got like a Jawgemo, even Wyatt look pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it just takes over so much that I'm like, oh man, you fall behind on this one. I think you're done. I also think maybe the kind of era of fragging IGLs might be done as like non-fragging IGLs might be done. Because like last year you could kind of rely on info and all of that stuff, and you could go on a mid-round, and now you're just absolutely sending it with just like cracked aimers, just overwhelm flash Neon, send it in, and you got to be able to frag at the moment. So yeah, I think some people that are maybe like smart IGLs that don't frag so heavy having a bit of a rough time.
Like who, Sliggy?
There's a few of them.
Like who?
Like name one.
I can't think of any though. That's the problem. I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anyone either.
Oh well, it's not an issue then, is it? It's fine.
Okay, on
I'm sure there's some out
non-fragging
there,
IGLs, you guys are fine, evidently. Before we hop into things, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about the podcast in a meta way, because as you guys know, the core of us who do this show are pretty much all working VCT Americas all the time, which means flying to LA and being away from home and also working on that stuff, doing a bunch of meetings, things like that. Kurt is doing that too. So it's a lot of work. And as it was with last year, it's kind of tough to keep up on all the Valorant. I'm sure just as fans, you guys feel that because there are so many games going on. So we're going to try and pivot a little bit and narrow in on our future shows for Plat Chat, focusing mainly on, well, we're doing it, Americas, because that's what we all know, and that's what we can give you guys the best content and actually talk about the best, while covering the really important stuff from other regions, and sometimes bringing in guests who are a little bit more knowledgeable about that. So instead of giving you a 4-hour podcast of just like random slop, we can give you 2 hours of focus stuff on what everyone knows. Still, during big events, you're gonna get episodes previewing that stuff. You're still gonna get big news from the other regions when we have it. And during the off season, it's not gonna be the case. This is just to give the best balanced and reasonable product for you guys who are listeners of this show. Still, though.
So we're just going to ignore Pacific again, basically.
Yeah, that is the real reason.
It's just in. I don't recommend trying to watch all the regions. It's not. I'm glad the season's only for a set amount of time because it's not feasible long term. Doing like some weird sleeping pattern where you're up every other 3 hours and you just
You're not even watching China. You're a fraud. You don't even watch all the regions.
I started watching China at like Fridays. And then, but I can blame the schedule for this. It's on at the same time as Pacific.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, as it, like you would do it and just not sleep ever if it was on a different time.
Yeah, it just becomes the stream where just seeing how long until I just pass out on stream.
Yeah,
that's really compelling content. But yeah, we'll still have weekly episodes when, of course, we can do it, and we'll still be covering all the big news. And talking about big news for this week, I think the biggest thing besides the games coming in was Riot announcing some shifts to how they're going to be doing Ascension. Previously, the way Ascension worked was you got your slot and you had that locked in for 2 years, and after 2 years, you were auto-relegated, you were kicked out of there. At that point, it was going to be ever-increasing, permanent one team or 2 teams added every year one team added, and then it was going to keep growing. I think eventually trying to get to 16, if I remember correctly.
14,
gotcha.
Yeah.
But now they're capping it to 12 and introducing a brand new promo relegation system, which is performance-based instead, which, at least on paper, seems like a big upgrade for these Ascension teams to be able to maintain performance-based, their slot in the league.
One of the first times that Riot have dropped an announcement that I think is just straight up bad that everyone pogged about. Normally it's the other way round, where it's like Riot do something that I think is fairly good for the infrastructure and people are molding about it. And this time, listen, credit to them. They nailed the PR on this. They put in performance-based promotion relegation, and the casual fan was like, yes, this is what we wanted. Justice for the good teams. And then actually, a lot of the org owners and like people around the scene are like, well, this doesn't help, you know. This makes things worse. But pop off.
Yeah. Do we think this is overall like a net negative for the scene? Because it definitely feels good before you start to think about it. But do we think it's gonna give less reason for org owners to invest? Because I mean, it's basically having the years you get in the league if you win, which means you're putting all this money into making a team. If you get into the league, you're moving them out to LA, you're moving all these pieces, and then you only have one guaranteed year, which is really, I think, a scary prospect for the people who would be having to put a lot of money into making that happen.
Yeah, it's just hard mainly for the teams. The thing is that, to be honest, when you are in tier 2 already, there's only so many teams that are good and competitive, and most of them they already don't even have an org. Like, there's some that are just getting signed by an org, there's some that they just don't need it. So yeah, the org investment is just already not there because there's not that many teams that are competitive and like staying. Because if you're in tier 2, you need to be dominant for people to have eyes on you. If you're not, then it's already, you're kind of on your own until you figure it out, or until you like make it by yourself as a player. So there's only so much you can do. I don't think that you can do too much about the tier 2 scene, but try to make it as competitive as it gets. And when you already have, like in Americas, we got 12. That's way too much. There's such a big gap between that, you know, it's only 3 teams that you're going to see in the next couple of years that are going to be competitive, and then you're just hoping that newer, like the younger kids are going to come in and try to change that with the orgs.
And I think the main thing here is, as well, like the orgs have just such a big choice. Like if Oxygen qualify, and I would probably use like Gentlemates as like an example as well. You stick with the original guys and be like, well, you earned this slot. This is your chance to like prove that you can hang with the best. Thinking, well, we're probably not going to make it to champs. We're probably going to be in that relegation, and then that's your whole year done. Or do you just become super cutthroat and just go, right, we got the slot. The people that earned it, you end up kicking like 2-3 of them. Because if we look at Gentlemates, they gave their squad a go at it, and they were never gonna make it to champs with this roster. They're kind of just being like, this year you earned this, you guys earned this, let's see what you can do. And they don't have that luxury anymore to just be like, this is your go at it. You kind of only have that one shot. And I think some orgs are going to be cutthroat and have to change players if they wanna actually like have the performance to keep them in there. It's
That's
gonna be
why
really hard.
Yeah, that's why you have to be like a crazy good team. Like
Yeah.
the guard, I mean, G2 right now, or even M80 towards the beginning of the year, where people were like, oh, they were going to be like the ass undefeated as the guard was before. Because if you are like here and there, you win in a close way, it's just not going to look good. Even Oxygen, who are the most likely to make it in NA, they have Redux, who still, 17? So I don't think he can even go up with the team. So that's already kind of an excuse for them to make changes.
To me, there are two main criticisms of this, and they're actually very, very different. We just brought up Ludwig's tweet, but if you could fly it again, please, Kurt. There's two ways to kind of attack this system, this change. And one is based on the like justice of it, and the other is based on the business side of it. And the two people that I've seen who I think embody this the most, Ludwig's arguing this one from like a justice, fairness perspective, which is that it's not really based on a business decision, this tweet. It's that everybody should be in the same pool. Everybody should have promotion relegation because that's fair. Not because it's a good business decision and because it incentivizes like the health of the scene. It's because it like feels good and it's competitive and stuff like that. And I don't vibe with this. I don't think the scene is big enough to have full promotion relegation all over the place. There just isn't enough money going around. That's one of the big reasons that we have like partnership systems and franchise systems, is so that you condense the amount of people involved, but the people involved can actually justify their expenditure. And maybe that doesn't matter for, Moneybags Ludwig, who's doing it for the passion of the game, but for most people, it's going to be a business expense. And if you don't make the return worthwhile, then they're not going to invest, and people are not going to have money for the players' salaries. But the other side of that isn't just the justice fairness criticism, is the actual business criticism, which the UCAM CEO had a great thread about this, where he brought up all of the ways in which this is going to, from an org's perspective, disincentivize investing in the tier 2 scene, because it costs you. Now, he's talking about this from the perspective of the EMEA and having to move to Berlin, and a bunch of EMEA people are popping off in the comments to this, being like, yeah, they've forgotten about EMEA and how different it is for us again. It is worse for EMEA, but also for like any LATAM. Can you imagine any LATAM or Brazilian organization that won in Ascension and got moved up to LA as well? It's the same kind of thing. It's not just for EMEA that this is bad.
With that too, it's also like
the
complexities of the U.S. immigration system, and also of like buying foreign real estate, starting a company in the U.S. It's the same for anyone too. That's also an issue in Korea too. When you look at the Pacific League, that is the league with, at least in the EU, you have like the Schengen Agreement, and a lot of players will be able to do that. For Korea, they also have super strict visa rules, and it also have a shit ton of bureaucracy to actually go through and set something like this up. So for any org owner in any of these regions, unless you are a US-based org in the US, or a German org in Germany, or a Korean org in Korea, there is massive amounts of bureaucracy to go through to even get to the point where you're getting started, that then has a chance to be wiped away after a year.
And that's just something that, like, Crew and Lev, for example, I know they're, like, open about, because they realize how hard it is. Like, if they need a player, if they need a sub, they don't have many options. They need to get a visa that's going to take however long. If it's Brazil, we know it takes a long time. If it's Latin America, it's still going to take some time, because they need to go to Brazil most likely, because that's the fastest way to get it. It's just impossible. And for a team in general, Latin America obviously doesn't have as much investment. So you already have this issue where it's hard for teams to make it, because it's not as competitive. And then if you make it, it's gonna be like a crazy support that is gonna be needed for Lev and crew that got it towards the beginning. They were even still getting the hang of it because you're moving to a completely different country. It's hard for the players. It's hard for the org. You're like sending so much money everywhere for them to find a place to stay, to them to be comfortable, and it's just a crazy amount of money that go in that people have no idea about.
Yeah, and the problem is whenever you make it expensive for organizations to do something, you disincentivize them actually putting the money in. When you make the reward smaller, at least the guaranteed reward, then the amount of money you should be investing should go down in order for you to make the same kind of return or expected return on that investment. So when you make things more difficult, which they're doing by reducing the amount of teams down to 12, there's less opportunities. By making things more difficult, because when you fight against the partnership teams, they can have any amount of players from all over the place, whereas you tend to be region locked, for example, if you're coming from one of the European leagues. You're going to disincentivize investment. And I think the benefit of it is that if you're one of these Ascension teams that like got in early, or you have a bunch of venture capital money to invest, then the rich get richer, baby. The rich get richer. If you've got the money to be able to throw around, then you're going to be able to bully out all of the other people who don't have the investment or don't want to throw that money or can't sign good enough players to be able to justify the fact that they're going to stay in tier 1. So it doesn't really help with that.
Yeah, it's just a lot less feasible, isn't it? It's just no attraction of it, and there really is. But like the only real plus is nothing to do with like tier 2. I don't think tier 2 wins in any point of this at all. Like the only like real people that win are like the tier 1 like format and stuff is going to be great now.
It is, yeah.
I feel like this change is like good for G2 and Dragon Ranger Gaming and basically no one else.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So the other part to this too is I think what's going to happen over the long term, not immediately, but over the long term, is that more and more organizations are going to drop out of investing in tier 2, and then they're just going to try to sign unsigned teams once they win Ascension.
Yeah, exactly.
That's or at least when they get into Ascension, then maybe orgs will come picking around. You get into Ascension, you look like you're about to go on a run, and then the orgs are like, hey, any interest in signing with us? And that sucks for players because then you haven't been paid all year. You only get paid once you look like you're about to win the entire thing. And then even if you get promoted, they might just change the entire squad in order to try to stay in tier 1. Like it's terrible for the players.
Yeah, I think it's something where it's like, if there was any guarantee, because remember, in the Ascension system, it feels like on paper that winning Ascension earns you, the players, a slot, and you get to go and you get to play in tier 1. But that's not the case. The slot is tied to the organization, and as we saw from the Guard G2 debacle at the end of last year, before they got into Americas, it's always attached to the org, and there has to be an org it's attached to. You can't just be a group of 5 players who go in, which means in this new system where above anything else, orgs are incentivized to, we have to get a winning roster, we have to get a winning roster, we need to make top 4. It doesn't encourage orgs to let those 5 players come and actually play together. And while it feels, when you look at it on paper, like an emotional win of the players who earn it get to have it, in reality, I think the business side, which is always going to rule these decisions in esports, is going to almost work against that incentive and mean that orgs are put in a position where if they take this risk, they're going to be more likely to make big changes and less likely to go down the gentleman's route, like what you were talking about, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I was going to say, so, Josh, what you were saying, like, that's what you see as the outcome. You reckon if they put loads of money into tier 2 in terms of just prize money, so all of these players actually had like prize money on the line to play for, so they didn't have to rely on the salaries, and then it's kind of like incentive to win all of these smaller tournaments, do you then think it maybe works? Again, it would have to be Riot investing the money into the tier 2 or just prize money. Do you think that it would be feasible for loads of free agents to be playing for prize money, not have orgs, and that would work? Or I think that's cooked?
I don't know. I think that one of the issues is that, again, that all of this comes back to the fact that the size of the pie is actually not big enough to support the amount of players that want to play in the scene, and so it's you can't currently sustain all the good tier 2 teams on like living wages whilst not just throwing money into the void for somebody somewhere, whether it's Riot, whether it's the organizations, because there isn't enough money coming into the scene with revenue from media rights, sponsorship, like the viewers paying in some way for the content they're consuming. Like there isn't enough money coming in to make sense to put all the money out in that kind of way. So I don't think the incentive would really be there for Riot to even put up the money, even if that did work, because from Riot's perspective too, the only thing that they need to incentivize is organizations to come into the space. I think players are always going to be in the space. Like you can make a tier 2 scene like really kind of dreadful, as they are in a lot of games. A lot of games have way worse tier 2 scenes than we do. And there's still a fairly large player base that plays in them. Not in all regions, not everywhere, and sometimes it's got pretty terrible paths up to pro. But a lot of people just enjoy playing anyway, and because it's such a dream job to be an esports pro, they still participate. So there isn't really that incentive to keep players invested, because they already are invested. They like the game. They like the dream of it.
I think in Latin America is different though, because you realize how hard it really is to make it. Like we only have just a few teams that are competitive, and then you still know that between the best team and the North Americas, who's always screaming the best, is always getting kind of the best out of the best, there's such a gap, and people know it. Like if you are not like the GOAT that just comes out of nowhere, you know that chances are you're not going to be making it to Ascension. You're not going to make it to tier 1. And so people, I mean, honestly, like players have been pretty demotivated because they know that's just not, it's not working out. They're dropping out. They're getting a real job. They're doing different things because it's just not working out. And you see it in Latin America. If it continues to be that way, it's going to be even worse. And I feel like for other regions as well, even for Spain, because they're mixing it all together, it just, you have less and less of the representation that you want because people can't survive out of what they're getting from the orgs or not even having an org.
Yeah, you lose a lot of diversity and representation from regions, but also from this is going to sound a bit bizarre, but from like economic classes. If orgs can't invest in the tier 2 level, and so salaries can't really be paid as often in the tier 2 level, the people that can afford to spend all of their time getting really, really good are people that either like come from money, have a bit of money saved up, or have some kind of system like where you're a student, where you're living on loans. Yeah. If you're having to support yourself at the same time, you're probably going to fall behind because you're spending time working. It's a smaller amount of people that are going to be able to work and be a pro at the same time, just because of the time investment. And so you lose out on the diversity aspect from regions and from people from less stable financial backgrounds who, like, ideally, people want this kind of stuff to be a meritocracy. And you don't get that when you have biases towards financial stability in a system like this.
Yeah, it's really tough because even if you're at the point where like you make it and you are one of those players and you go there, like let's say we got to a point where like a free agent squad or a small org could get in. If you're making league minimum and you don't have housing provided, say you're in Americas, 50K in Los Angeles is not really a good paycheck. Like the HUD like low income level in LA County is 70K for a family. So if you're living alone, you can't really live off that. You're probably gonna have to try and like get housing with your team and figure all that out. It's just a really tough position to be in for any player. But yeah, I mean this is something that I feel like is hard to solve. At least the positives of this are going to be the format is going to be better long term. We're not going to have seasons with 13 teams, but still it puts orgs, it puts teams in rough positions. So we'll have to see if any changes come of this or how it'll actually affect tier 2 in the future. But with that, let's move on a little bit and recap some of the things that have actually been going on in the international leagues this last week. We're going to start by touching on Pacific just a little bit, and starting off with DRX, who had a lot of promise, I think, coming into Pacific with some of the changes they made. People were hopeful that this team could set up towards the future. They got their win over Zeta, and now they've lost back-to-back games against PRX and RRQ. They have 6 wins, so I'm pretty sure that means they are locked into playoffs. But the question is, Bliggy, if they're in the form to actually make champions now.
Yeah, I'm worried for them at the moment, especially the RRQ game. Like I know it was like relatively close. Like no one was really expecting to beat Paper X. RRQ I still think are kind of like they're on the up and up. The new squad looks like pretty good. Now Monyet's in there, but I don't know, man. I just feel like this team. It was always going to be one step back to try and take the 2-step forward, but I'm not sure we're going to get to the 2 steps forwards. I really don't. I actually spoke a bit about this on stream, where it's like people, because the meta changes so much, and I think when they made the change, like getting top 4 at what they did at their events in the past is such an insane achievement that we don't really like praise because it's not like the winning, but to be consistent in a game that changes so much, like that was a strong lineup. And you have to compare it to the old lineup, and I don't see this team, especially with like the consistency of Foxy9. I feel like Foxy9 feels really inconsistent at the moment. I feel like sometimes I want to sing his praise, and then I watch him the next week, and I'm like, oh man, he kind of messed up a lot of these rounds. I just don't. I can just only see me being like, man, they should have stuck with the old roster. Like I'm already starting to feel it. I think it's just natural.
They're also switching things up, and I feel like, in a way, yeah, they're just not playing well. They're not playing like the DRX they should be playing, and the DRX that was going so crazy in the first split. But also, I feel like they know they're pretty much in, so they're giving themselves the space to try these different things. We saw Clove being played a lot. We saw them going back to like a more standard composition, and that's something that Termi was saying. That's what they want to do. They're experimenting. Obviously, he was like pretty frustrated about like not getting the wins and playing like a tier 2 team, as he said. But I feel like, yeah, this is not great, but we should not just judge DRX based on these 2 matches, but more of how they're going to play when they actually need to get the wins.
Yeah, I'm going to judge them. I
would quickly counter that by just being like, bro, it's singular limb is here. You got to get that top 2nd or 1st seed. Like you got to go hard for it. You had the head start. I think experimenting here is mental.
Do you not think though that playing Talon, playing DFM as their next matches, they have a chance to everyone has a little experimentation phase, get through that and find themselves a nice, honest job.
100%. They are going to get destroyed by Talon. This team is poo. This team has made terrible roster changes, and I've never seen a fucking worse squad get qualified for champs so early. This team was shite. These last 2 games, there's no coordination in this team anymore. They've tried to pick up players because the players are playing well, like in an individual context, and they've lost every part of the team synergy that was previously making DRX good. I've lost all fucking hope. All hope is gone. It's crazy, man. What I'm doing a review of these games. Kurt, I sent you a couple clips just to focus on DRX RRQ for a second because it was bad. But I also had tons of clips from the DRX PaperX game too. But look at what's going on in so for starters, Mako is calling now, right? And Mako's defense side calling, they're doing so many ill-advised defensive pushes at times, and he's also calling so many flood defends that are really badly coordinated. And then on the attack side, they're not looking that strong either. But I was amazed at how bad their defense side looked. Now, Kurt, if you could pull up the first clip though, this is them fighting. Just a pause to look at the economy. It's full buy versus an eco round, and I want you to pay attention to Bane's flash. They're going to flash for information in mid. You can roll the clip and look at the individuals are making so many mistakes. They get the picks. They're in a 5v3 anti-eco round. It's unlosable, guys. It's unlosable. They're going to try to flash peek into the corner so that they can swing into mid. and Bane misses the flash, it goes into vents, and then they just dry swing. If you can play that back in slow motion, Bane literally tries to flash. Buzz is just swinging into players that aren't blind anymore. And like, he missed the flash and it just flies into the corner of vent. And he's just swinging into non-blinded players. And Bane is running out with like the flash in his hand. Like, it's horrendous. The next timestamp is one of these awful flood defends as well. Just to show you like how bad the coordination is. Because that's like, the coordination worked. They had an idea. They went to execute it. They fumbled the execution. But some of these situations as well, like round 6, 2 rounds later, they're flood defending. You can just play this one through. But I want you to just focus on like, first of all, how bad Foxy9's positioning is to turn eyes. He doesn't play on site so that the others can flood in at a different angle. They're all playing under each other. And then also how staggered they are. One player dies. Bane jumps out the smoke. Mako swings through as well. They're all stacked up on top of each other, going one by one into the site. And that is happening all the time. Like, this team just... The problem is, this looks like early days, you know, like they might fix this kind of stuff, like it's just coordination problems, that kind of thing. They're about to head into the playoffs. Like this...
Yeah.
It's a week away.
It's a week away. You're not fixing this in a week? This is going to be... people are going to tune in, having not seen these most recent games since the roster change, and be like, oh, DRX, they're favorites to make champs. Everything's looking good again. And they're just going to be witness to the largest shitting in the bed sheets that's ever happened in playoffs.
You know, Jen, the Korean translator, she was telling me that people are saying that DRX now looks like T1 and T1 looks like DRX. And in a way of the way that they make these individual decisions, I kind of see it, at least on the side of the mistakes that T1 has always made that make no sense when it comes to playing those rounds, spacing, like all those little like fundamental things. The way that DRX is playing now, I think they just... I see the vision. I see what she means by that.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss old DRX. Imagine it right now, RB Neon. It's so devastating.
Oh wait, they would actually be sick with RB
They'd
Neon.
be so good in this.
RB is playing in Challengers now, right?
He's playing in China. He's playing for Tech.
China.
Oh, China. Yeah.
Yeah, tier 2. Yeah.
Your point
So-
was though, Josh.
Damn, dude.
My point was that even if you're not thinking about the RB Zest version of this team, they actually had a good thing going with the previous roster as well when Stax was calling, and Bane was more of like the glue guy rather than somebody who was having to, you know, make the plays and try to get everybody into the good spots. I just this roster, it's so much worse than even it was when they just had Stacks in and Flashback out. Could they have made a change where it was like Flashback for Foxy9 or something? Yeah, I think so, possibly. But to have now 3 rookies in the team, even if they don't crumble when they come to playoffs, even if they make champs, this team is gonna crumble at champs too. Like, they don't have the experience to be able to win at that kind of level. So I don't understand why they've been so incentivized to make roster changes when they were actually a clear 3rd best team in Pacific. They just missed out on Shanghai because of the rough like format.
Yeah.
That was it.
Josh, you're making a really good villainous case to become the coach of DRX. You've made your business connections. You were in Korea. You shook hands. And now look, back in LA, look what he's wearing. Curious. Blue shirt.
DRX blue.
Collared. Very similar to the DRX jersey, no? Talking about possible fixes for the team. Lining yourself up for the future to save them.
That's smart.
I've been learning Korean.
Okay. Can you give us an example? What would you say to the boys if you could talk to them in the middle of one of those matches?
What would I say to them? I'd say 안녕하세요. 감사합니다. That's it. That's all I've got for you, I'm afraid. I don't really...
That might fix
I'm at very early doors with my career.
Okay. Working on it, though. Working on it. He'll get there, guys. The other team though from Korea that you were talking about, Dan, is kind of slowly starting to maybe show a little bit of what DRX used to be is T1, who, while they've played some close games against good teams, losing 1-2 to both Team Secret and Gen.G in pretty close fashion, their season is fucked. They did not get enough wins in stage 1. They are 2-6 now. They are all but mathematically eliminated. It is an incredibly, I mean, not an impossible chance. They have now lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 series in a row. And they are probably going to be the first team who has actually made it to a global event that is guaranteed going to be out of playoffs now.
So I mean, individually, I like this team, but I hate this whole because they have Excret and they have Sire player who have like been switching roles on when they actually op. I first of all, I don't think Excret looks super comfortable on smokes at the moment. It's probably going to take him a little bit of time. But this whole team is so reliant on getting an op and having a solo player that dominates with an op that if that solo player has a bad day, it's so cooked. Like I'm seeing Sire miss so many shots, and he's a good player. It's definitely like an off day for him, but if that happens and your whole game plan is around getting a guy an op and you're just picking on attack and you're like buying into the chamber, I just don't think I need a second layer. It just doesn't convince me that this is like the way that they're approaching the game. I think Stacks is a good addition. I think I kind of like them long term going into that, but now your year's done. I just don't feel like I have confidence of the whole team being together. But I hate this whole win condition being our op, and that's like our only thing, and then you win a pistol, and they're not even doing like what like 100 Thieves will have a pistol now where the cryo saves 400, so if they lose both, he gets an op into the third round, like your first buy round. They're not even doing that, so it's like they lose pistol, then they have the third round, which is their full buy round, and they don't have an op anyway, and it's like they're just done, because then they just have like a person and then like a whole thing that's based around having an op, and that person's holding an angle with a rifle and they're just getting wrecked. So yeah, I kind of just hate their whole way of playing at the moment, where it's like based around having an op. You lose a pistol, you're done. They at least, at the very least, have to do what Cryo's doing. Get dropped like they raid boss Cryo and then he has 400. They gotta save this extra 400 to try op early. And watching this team on attack is painful. It's literally this, just the whole time, just let's just wait 50 seconds, we'll get this guy set up, and surely they'll peek us, and we can have a pick. And it's just so dry, it just doesn't work. Like a good team just hides now.
Do you guys think that they're showing more potential, though, than what we've seen from DRX? Is this also a roster that we think is kind of cooked, like you were talking about with DRX, Josh? Or are they showing shades of a team that could level up and be better?
What the fuck does it matter? Their season's over. They're gonna explode at the end of the year anyway. Like this team does not give "we're sticking together for the love of the game" vibes to me. I mean, they've got good players. I agree with Sliggy, but I think this is going to be a scenario where the T1 management has to see like which pieces of the core still believe in each other, want to play with each other, and like what you can build from. Maybe I'm just reading too much into the like way that the way that Excurate's kind of talked a bit about how he's felt this season, because I haven't talked to the guy. I'm just picking up on like, you know, random shit that's been posted to Twitter and Reddit and stuff. I might be armchair psychologist too much here, but they feel like the vibe has been fucked a little bit, and that's a bit worrying. At that point, it doesn't really matter how much potential you have, because it's just about like, do the people want to play together?
Yeah, and it's too late. Like you add Stacks. Excurate is talking about how great Stacks is, how good of an addition he is, how much he's taught the team in different ways. But I mean, you already like, I feel like Stacks is just obviously like with DRX, we always saw it, but he's just always stressed. Like he always has like the most unfortunate circumstances that he's put on, and for this is like you pretty much can't make it. It's like almost 100% that you can't make it. And then you're still trying and seeing a difference in the team, but it's so slight and it's something that takes time that is, yeah, it's kind of like, what's the point? The team, when you know you can't make it and you still need to play all these matches, is just not going to be the same. It's not going to evolve as you would towards the beginning of the season with Stacks.
They had a brutal schedule as well. at the beginning of the year, they had a really rough schedule. I think it put them into a bad spot. It's kind of unbelievable that they even made an international event, really.
I mean, they also came back, and 3 weeks after losing to Gen.G or at a global event, they come back, or excuse me, losing to Lev at a global event, they come back, and then they immediately play Gen.G, and then they play a secret that's on the upswing, and boom, your season is over. It's a tough position for this squad, but they are indeed cooked. We've had a lot of negativity, though. We've complained about DRX. We've lamented the death of T1. Let's talk about a team who's actually been stepping up a lot this season in Pacific, who is Team Secret. They've now won 3 matches in a row, including that game against T1 that we just watched a couple clips of, and they're slowly working their way up. They're 6-3. They also are going to have a spot locked into the playoffs for Pacific. And Sliggy, it's looking like this is probably going to be one of the Pacific teams making it to champs if they keep playing the way they are.
Yeah, I like the performance. We keep seeing an improvement. I feel like the individual's got a bit of an upgrade. I think Wild Oreo is just a beast, man. I think this guy is a beast. He's a delight to watch. And I think just the overall like macro, I don't know if it's the IGL, I don't know if it's a new coach, but they always have like really, really good set plans. Like the actual, you can always see like the overwhelming idea of like how they want to play the map and where they want to be aggressive and just like retake and just everything is, the game plan is always set. It's so clear that I can see it every time I watch them, and it just looks like everyone's on board. And individually, I'm telling you, everyone in this team is stepping up. It's always been, Envy's just kind of insane with Jeremy maybe like having really good games, but now they got Wild Oreo. I just think that he's yeah, I think that he's a beast, and 2GE and Jesse are definitely doing their job, and I think the calling from Jesse and again the amount of work that either he puts in or the coach puts in, I think it shows every single game. They play a little bit different to who they're playing against, and yeah, it always makes a lot of sense. They have a good idea of what they want to achieve and what maybe the weakness of the other comp is that they're playing against, and yeah, it's I'm enjoying watching them at the moment. But Wild Oreo is like the big standout for me. I think this guy's really good.
It's a good signing. And also, there's never been a team more poised to take advantage of the fact that DRX are having a downward slump at the moment. I don't know exactly what the playoff bracket's going to look like because it depends on a lot of the matches that are left to play. But the 4 teams that are looking the best out of Pacific right now are... Team Secret could easily be in there. I don't know whether they are in there necessarily because I think that you still have to see them play against a Talon or an RRQ to know for sure that Secret look better. But that's a top 5 right there. Like Talon, RRQ, Secret with Gen.G and PaperX. And if Secret are like, able to beat one of the other teams in that situation that are very similar to them, Talon and RRQ, I think they're looking great.
Yeah. Still, there is a pretty high likelihood that they might have to play the BO1 to start. The last game they have on their schedule, they're not playing in week 3, is playing against Gen.G in week 4, which will be their last game of their season. Probably gonna lose that one, look like a 6-4 record, and then you're sitting down there with a lot of other teams who could still be fighting their way in. Your RRQs, your Talons, this kind of like the middle of the pack Pacific teams that have that potential to go up. Dan, what have you made of this team?
I got nothing for you.
Okay.
I got nothing for you.
Cool. And you know what? That's fine.
I will say that I think because the way that it is at the moment is Gen.G's like likely to be in one of the playoff games, right? Like the single elim. Oh my god, I feel bad for whatever team get them. I feel so bad.
Do you think they're good? I mean, if they win out though, wouldn't they make it to be one of the top 4? Because I feel like there's no way DRX and Team Secret keep like as shiny a record as they have right now.
I think it depends on the other results, right? How many games?
Yeah,
they got 3 games.
If they get 3 wins, they'd be at 7-3.
And it's not in their hands, right?
Yeah. I mean, the other team that we're not really focused on as much here, but is probably going to have a fantastic record is Talon. Because Talon are like, they also have really nice ideas. They've been performing pretty well, and they have a pretty soft schedule coming up too. Talon play against DFM, then DRX, and then Zeta to close out the season. I think Talon can win all 3 of those games, and that would put them at a pretty fantastic 8-2 record.
Damn.
Which would have them Paper X almost guaranteed to have 2 out of 3 of those top spots that don't need to go, through the single elim portion. Or is it 4 or is it 3?
It's 2, I think, who go through this.
Oh, is it only top 2? Sorry.
Wait. How many
But
teams make playoffs?
6 make playoffs. 6 make playoff. Top.
So
top
top
1 and
4
2.
make it through to double elim immediately, I think.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. It's top 2 make it all the way through. They only have to win 1 game, and then the 4 below them have to play single elim. So
yeah,
if
I think
DRX
Talon
win
is going
both
to
of
be
their
up there.
games, it's correct.
I think it's going to
Yeah.
be Paper X and Talon up at the top in terms of like who's got the best record coming out the regular season.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it
Just
kind of
based
comes down to DRX Talon then, really, right?
Yeah, but I'm just so low on DRX. I don't.
I think
they
the
can
funniest
get it
outcome-
together in time.
The funniest outcome for sure, though, is if Team Secret have to play Gen.G and then play their their 3rd match against them, lose in the BL1, and then go out. They've just been cursed with having to play that team constantly, seemingly, this season. Let's move on, though, to our predictions and wrap up for Pacific. The first match here is a team we already talked a little bit about who's been on a bit of a run. It's Talon facing off against DFM.
Dude, there's gonna be a lot of
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of these this show.
Is this a real and honest guarantee? Because I felt pretty confident picking Talon. I feel like they've been on the up and up. They've been looking really good in their last few matches. Detonation got the win over Zeta, but even that game was kind of crappy. And I feel like this should honestly be a guarantee, no?
I mean, I'm normally against the guarantee, but I'm so in for this. Like, I like what DFM are doing. Their Haven really put me off from kind of believing in them a little bit. And just with how Talon are playing, I think that I feel pretty fine about this one. And I think the DFM Zeta game is a lot down. It says a lot about Zeta, to be honest, than more than it does with DFM, because Zeta at the moment are a shit show. They really are. So I think it's a good win for DFM, but I think, like, realistically, how these two are looking, I think Talon should be fine here, unless May goes insane.
Why are the biggest fan bases in Valorant the worst performing regions? Why is Japan and China still so bad, man? Dude, come on.
Mean, they're in a similar spot to DRX, right? That's where it's just like, why did we make these changes? I'm not sure. I don't know, man. I don't think these were the right changes to make. And the 6 coaches, man. Someone's got to call the 6 coaches out. You play Icebox and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, these 6 coaches need to there's too many cooks, man.
Wait, which team has 6 coaches again? Zeta?
Zeta.
Yeah. Zeta needs to sort their shit out.
Wait, what do you mean they have? What? Can we pull up the VLR page for a second here? Why are there more guys on the bottom of the screen than on the top?
There's 11 people here on the page, and none of them know how to fundamentally play Icebox. A map that's been in the game for 3 years. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, the whole Carlisle thing is just...
Is it not, though, very create the biggest bureaucracy you can? I think that's the funniest way to run a Valorant team. Dude, all these cringe teams with exactly 1 coach. I want to have to file like a 1099 and like 3 different numbered paperworks to be able to file for a composition change. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not going to create a winning team.
Dude, there's gonna be a lot of guarantees today. I think.
All right, let's see if this next one is
sure.
a guarantee though, because it's Global Esports versus T1. And this one is also a guarantee. All 4 of us have gone for T1. We were just lamenting some of the problems with this T1 team, but Josh, surely they shouldn't lose to GE.
I mean, dude, there's nothing, absolutely nothing would make me believe that is not a possibility. I mean, of course T1 could lose to Global Esports. Of course they can. For teams that are getting towards the end of their season and things become less and less possible for them, it's going to be so hard to keep up like the belief in yourself. Like, if there was any chance for T1 to actually make champions, they basically had to beat Team Secret. It is now, I don't know exactly what the outcome, what the one fucking Doctor Strange looking universe is where T1 make champions, but obviously they need to win this game, but they also need like so many other unlikely things to happen. And I think that's gonna weigh on their confidence, or not confidence, but like their motivation at some point. I just don't know whether it's gonna be this week. I don't feel confident about that being a guarantee.
Okay, yeah, I will at least see. I'm not changing my Predator. I'm okay with it. I do want to just give GE a little bit of props to be like, the Polvi neon changes that you're doing look good. I can see what you're working on. The game plans are nice. And just the props of just the improvement, because the improvement's there. So I can see they're working hard, and I'm still not going to go for you on this one, but I like that I can see the improvement,
but they're working,
and it's a good sign. Yeah, no, they're improving and they're adapting to this meta. So I think there's a world where G take this, but I'm not taking the risk.
Okay, let's see if we can go 3 for 3 on guarantees, because I think we might. The final match we're prepping for Pacific is Zeta versus RRQ.
Oh,
Surely it's another one.
It's
Smile,
another one.
guys.
Not a chance I'm touching that team, dude.
Josh, that is the most devious smile for a screenshot. You're gonna look so pretty when Zeta win this game.
They're not winning this game, man. They're not winning this game. I know that I've been burned by not believing in Zeta in the past, but that was genuinely the one time the lightning struck. I stand out in the open holding an umbrella. There is no lightning today. There is no lightning today. There is no lightning today. And then one time, Zeta made top 3 at a tournament. And then that, for the rest of fucking humanity, has made people say, oh, what happened to Zeta? I think there was a thread on Reddit literally this week, like, what happened to Zeta? They fell off so hard after Reykjavik. Like, it's called a fluke, guys. It's called a fluke. Yeah.
Japan?
Even the top 4 finish, though, even the top 4 finish, like making LCQ, winning LCQ, doing well last season, they've fumbled completely. It looked like a decent game plan at the beginning of the year, but they just haven't been able to bring it together. And
I mean, they won LCQ, and then they came and they got like thrashed in 2 games.
Yeah, but that still put them as like a top 4 team from last year.
Sure.
They're just nowhere even close, and I think that RRQ genuinely have a chance of being able to fight for champions. They wouldn't be my favored team to make it. I think I would imagine Talon and Team Secret being above them, but RRQ have got chances.
I think they're doing it. As long as they don't get Gen.G and single limb, yeah, I think they're doing it. I believe in this team at the moment. Instant like upgrades with the changes, and I think they're just getting better every week. I kind of believe in this team, to be honest. I think they make champs.
Okay, cool. Let's move on then, and hop on over to EMEA. There's only one team that we really want to talk about here, who had some struggles now, losing back-to-back matches. NAVI was a squad who was a single elimination win away twice from having potential to make a run, make it to an international event. Now they've come back with another chance, and they've started off by losing to both Heretics and to FUT. And my question is simple. Is this they lost to 2 of the top teams in EMEA, or is this a NAVI who is crumbling?
Both. Hello, I'd like to submit both, please.
Okay. See.
Heretics look fantastic. I mean, Heretics look unbelievably good. Oh, I can't get more excited for this team. They're going to win champions. The Heretics are winning champions. But also, Na'Vi did the like, I am a kitten getting attacked by a lion approach, and just rolled over and showed their belly and begged for forgiveness and mercy. They didn't even try to fight back. They just allowed Woot to feast on their fucking rotting corpse. It was over. Na'Vi just, they had nothing going. Angel's entry in like constantly on Sova, just trying to make something happen. He's always had this, but it's worse right now, where his IGL brain is like, we have a timing right now. And instead of being, We have a timing right now. Go for that. We have a timing right now. I'm going to go for that. And it's so bizarre watching them play in situations like this where the whole squad looks really passive apart from either Ardis on an execute or Angel just at all times holding W. And it's so dysfunctional.
It's this. I was watching this last night, and I was so. This is the last thing that I watched before going to sleep. I did not have a good night. This was so annoying to watch. What is Navi doing? I don't understand. Like, first of all, like, why are they playing Jet on Sunset? Why are they just doing nothing for the beginning of actually nothing for the whole round? They're not doing any fakes. They're not there's zero creativity when it comes to that. And you think that for that Sunset, maybe they want to play like an Ascent in some fucking weird way, but still it's just plain. It's just a one-dimensional Valorant that's not working out. They go to play for contact with Ardis. Of course, he's gonna die because Wood is on the other side. And they do this over and over again. Then he wasn't raised. He was missing his satchels. It's just, I actually haven't watched much Navi throughout the year. I know they were getting wins, or I know they were being the creative team bringing new things, but this is just terrible. This is just so bad. I'm sorry, I can't.
The one thing that's really killing me with this team that is the noticeable difference from Doom Bros. And I don't know what was happening when Doom Bros was there in practice.
Navi is killed dead.
Yes,
Angel assassinated her. She's being teleported to her house. Oh no. Oh, okay, she's back. You were saying though, Sliggy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the one thing when I think of Navi is pistol round into second round into third round. That is what they do. That is what they're known for. And now they are pistol round into get ecoed just every single time. I've never seen a team get ecoed this much. And I don't know what Doom Bros was doing in practice, where if they got ecoed, he would just literally just go in there, just start shouting at them or beat them up or something, because they are not scared of losing the eco anymore. Then they're just doing the most dumb stuff, and they're just we're free, he's gone, we can do what we want on this round. And now they're just losing ecos, and they're oh, actually maybe we need to play those rounds proper. I don't know what they've done. They just, everything that they had with Doom Bros there for their eco runs, they've just forgotten. Saying that long term, I'm not actually that worried about them, because it's Heretics, it's Foot, they're both looking really good, but they gotta clean up these eco runs. That is the one thing where I'm watching it and I'm the actual stats for winning a pistol and losing the next round against literally it'll be one sheriff or one ghost is impressive. It's actually impressive how they're losing this round this consistently. So that's what they need to clean up.
I've got 2 rounds from them playing against Foot that I wanted to showcase, because I think it there's 2 big things that the first one is very funny, but when I was watching Navi, just give me a sec to set this one up. But when I was watching Navi, they were very lacking discipline and uncoordinated on whether they want to go all together forwards, all together backwards. It feels like the individuals are making decisions that aren't tied into what the others are doing. And it's not that necessarily any of the decisions are bad. It's just that, like I was saying before, some of them will hold, waiting for a push from an opponent, and some of them will run forwards trying to pressure the opponent. And either decision is fine if you did it together, but then they're not coordinated with what they're doing. Now, this one, though, is so damn funny. I want to show you this round. So if you can bring this up, this is round 5 of Lotus. They're playing against Foot. And if you play the clip, notice that this flank is coming out from Foot through B main, right? And they're going to hit Sugetsu's trap here. So they know that this flank is going to come through. Sugetsu kills Ada Captain, and then Sugetsu's going to get challenged by CNED. Sugetsu runs down CNED, gets the kill, starts spraying the body, doesn't realize his trap has just been broken because he's trolling CNED, doesn't commit, and 2 players die, including the spike being dropped. Now Sugetsu's alone, gets caught, and everything just crumbles to pieces on the anti-eco round because Sugetsu wasn't paying attention to the trip, didn't communicate it, and was just spraying CNED's body instead. And that's so fucking silly, man. That's so silly.
That's
What's
awesome.
he doing?
A true commitment to the BM. Just lose the round to spray. I know we can't know fully what's going on behind the scenes and how much impact a coach has on a team. But it really feels to me with the fundamental issues we're seeing, with choosing to like spam bodies instead of win rounds, with losing all the it feels like a voice was lost in the team, and they look almost a little like directionless when it comes to some of the mistakes they're making. Well, everyone else is innovating and coming up with new comps. They are playing just, I mean, I guess they're innovating, but not in a good way. And
do you want to see another one? There's another.
I don't know if I want
Kitty!
Hello?
Kitty!
Hi, Cat.
This is Gaia.
Hi, Gaia.
Oh,
that is
hello,
a
Gaia.
cool cat. Cat, do you want to watch some Navi?
Yeah, you wanna watch that?
All right, so this one is round 12, and remember, put that in your heads. It's round 12, so it's like, you know, even though Navi's buy is terrible, that's the best that they can do. It's a force buy. If you have ults, you need to use your ults. Like, it's the final round of the half. So if you watch what's going on here, Krax is getting set up to go for the aftershock. Navi are trying to get an execute going. So if you play the clip, they're going in for this exec play, trying to put a lot of pressure on a Cypher that they know is in this corner. So an aftershock gets used for the attackers to clear out the Cypher in this corner. So Yada is walking backwards. Artist goes in. Whoopsie daisy. Mega fumble. Woo. But as they go in, Artist, supported by Shao, the other two are sat so passively back. They got blocked by a aftershock for a moment, but the point at which Shao goes forward, the other two could have also committed there, Zipan and Sugetsu. And if you roll things back, they sent the breach ult in there as well. Look at the breach ult that just gets thrown in and Shao doesn't wait for the breach ult. It doesn't look like it's even commed. He just swings instantly before the breach ults even hit, before his teammates are set up. It's so poorly coordinated between them. The two players in the choke point need to be realizing that they need to step forwards, get inside that smoke, dominate it, and then step forwards with Shao and Ardis. And then Shao needs to wait a moment so that he can follow up on utility and connect with the rest of his team. Like, every part of it, the people playing too passively and the people playing too aggressively, every part of it is lacking that synergy that you need in a top team that looks tight and disciplined. And it's mad to me that they don't have this, because they have, at previous points in their lifespan, been a very coordinated team. And at the moment, it's sloppy mess coming out from Navi in so many rounds. I think
because I would always describe them as disciplined and then Angel. Like it is like disciplined and Angel, but now it's like kind of 5 Angels and they're just doing what the hell they want, and it just doesn't make sense with this team. Like I don't know how Doombros had so much discipline, and how as literally him leaving has caused them to have no discipline. Crazy.
I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, or did they throw off the yoke of their oppressor? Was Doombros out there with the whip, like whipping them into line constantly? And Navi have managed to. Yeah, they've managed to pull off a coup d'etat inside the organization. And the person that was drilling them into line, they've got freedom and liberty now within Navi.
Freedom is when you lose 2 games in a row 2-0. Famous. Like,
yeah, you have to be free to lose.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to focus on the future then for Navi. And Kurt, can we do the Preds out of order and start with the Navi game?
Yeah, sure.
We have the technology. All right, let's do that, because they're playing Giant X this week. They have a reasonable strength of schedule. They're playing Giant, Koi, then Gentlemates. And I want to see if there are any hopers left for Navi.
Lots of buttons I have to press. 1 second. All right.
We're finding the buttons.
Okay, we found the button. Navi versus Giant X.
Yeah.
No
3
way.
out of 4 of us going Navi.
There's
And Dan-
no way.
Dan-
No, this team I don't care about Giant X. Like, they can be trolling, but it cannot be as bad as Navi. Like, I swear, there's not a chance Navi's gonna win that. There's not a chance. Navi should not. I know they're contenders for champion. Like, how is that possible? I can't. I was so angry. I swear, I was so angry watching this last night. I understand that you changed your coach, and I don't know what Doombros was doing, that it's not happening right now. But for the individual decisions, like, why is Shao swinging so many rounds by himself and dying? I can't. They're not winning. And if they win, I'm gonna lose it. I can't. And if they make champs, no. Please.
I think
can't.
they're just better than the Giants players mostly, and I think that Giants also do a sizable amount of trolling. So I think Navi are gonna be able to get across the
These
line
two
here.
teams have some of the most trolling. I mean, it's Redgar versus Angel. First of all, all-time head-to-head.
That's an
banger.
all-time head-to-head banger
All-time
right there,
head-to-head
isn't it?
banger. Like,
That's
honestly,
a great one.
this might be match of the week. I'm not gonna lie. Who's gonna teleport further? Who's gonna take a timing alone and troll harder? But I predicted for the same reason you did, Josh. I think even if this team is playing suboptimal comps, I think even if they aren't connected to each other, even if Angel is inting, I just fully have faith that Xiao is gonna make a dumb decision and just be better than the players on the other side and win.
I'd love to see like Cloud dominate this game and tear him to pieces and really make something crazy happen. But yeah, I fear that this is going to be just a mud battle, and it's going to be so entertaining.
Dude, I've heard so much good things about I've heard so much good things about Giant X in practice. By the way, like all of
Really?
the EMEA, all the EMEA teams say they've been doing pretty good. I don't know what's not translating to actual officials.
They did, to be fair to them, they did win their first match. They've only showed one thus far where they beat Channel Mates after getting sloshed on the first map. They came back and won back-to-back 13-11s, but it's also against Channel Mates. I don't know. For me, this matchup, Navi should absolutely win, but if they keep playing, keep making a lot of these mistakes, and Giant does come in like well prepared and is playing a little more disciplined than you'd expect, I agree with you that it feels righteous for them to win, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think
It
Vitinho's
feels
gonna have
righteous.
a crazy game. I think
Vitinho's gonna pop
Vitinho,
off?
yeah. We know that he's like sometimes he's crazy, sometimes he's not crazy. So this is the game.
Like many of us.
Sometimes he's crazy. Sometimes he has the sanest of games.
this is Vitinho's games. Like I don't know. Am I a hater? Maybe. But
The answer to that question, yes, you are a hater.
but this is Vitinho's game. I just know it.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a real banger if you're a fan of mud wrestling, or at least I do very much hope. But a match that should actually be an all-timer for EMEA is going to be the other one we're prepping this week. It's two of the squads who represented the region in an international event. A rematch here for Team Heretics versus Foot. It's a blackjack guarantee. All four of us have predicted Team Heretics. Josh, you were talking about him as the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Surely they should win this game.
Yeah, I mean, is it EMEA on the new patch? When does EMEA go into the new patch?
They're on the new patch now. It starts today.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah. Mini boo.
Josh, you good?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go
you need to step off camera first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and step off camera for a sec. But I mean, new patch Heretics playing against Foot, that is a banging game. I think that I'm just excited to see what Miniboo is gonna do playing Neon. I'm excited to see if he keeps up the level of dominance on that pick when the competition is so much higher because people are playing it, and also the game is the agent has fundamentally changed. The stuff that Jawgemo and Monyet are doing, you couldn't do before. People were not playing Neon as if it was like a Tracer 1v1 that you were supposed to take around the map. So I'm very excited to see Miniboo play, and I straight up do think that like Foot are a good team. Foot are very solid, but I think Heretics are going to look phenomenal here. I'm so high on Heretics.
Yeah, I think that's where I sit as well. It's like if Foot are actually playing the best Valorant I've seen Foot play. I think they're kind of at their peak right now of what I've seen. They keep improving. They have good game plans. They're like really good at the moment of understanding a big round that is going to force the other team to eco and just making sure they use a good amount of ults to secure it. Like I think that Foot are playing fundamentally really, really well. I'm so impressed with them. But Heretics look unbelievable, and they get the mini boo Neon buff. So
yeah,
he should just look insane. Dude, you were mentioning Overwatch earlier. This is the first meta where I've like watched stuff on my screen and I'm like, damn, this is hard. There's so many rounds where I'm like, what the hell is going on? There's like two walls. We're on a Neon that's sliding in between them. I'm just like, where are we, dude? It's so hard to watch.
I want to show a clip actually of basically what I'm talking about, the like bizarre Neon 1v1s that you get, because normally I'll send this to Kurt. Normally, when we're talking about like duelist head-to-heads, we're not really talking about like them actually fighting all the time. Sometimes you get like the jet op battle or something like that. But most of the time the duelist is going in and kind of fighting against like sight anchors or something like that. You can play this clip. This neon versus neon meta, the neons are actually like hunting each other down and trying to punish each other with their ults and with their stuns. This Talon RRQ game was so fun. It wasn't the highest level Valorant I've ever seen, but it was so fun to watch. Like, look at them. They're like zipping around, like taking genuine like Tracer 1v1s, like who blinks first, you run out of blinks and then the other person's able to punish you, you get a stun on your opponent and you could double slide onto them. Like, holy shit, it's so fucking cool watching the neon versus neon games right now. I don't know whether Foot are gonna opt into that. They feel like a bit of a like slower paced team compared to some of the others, but Heretics I think are gonna be going for that kind of stuff.
I just can't see CNED playing neon. Like, I know they used to really like the neon comps when they had Kiwi on the team, but they've always been a team that's like slow to adapt to meta stuff and like is very fixated on like playing their own style and like super hyper focused on their fundamentals. That I'd honestly be kind of surprised if they went out week 1 and made big comp changes and stuff, especially being one of the teams who was at Shanghai. Of course, obviously Team Heretics is there too for longer, but I really think this is the meta. This is the patch for Team Heretics to dominate. So it should be a fun game. But let's keep moving to a region that has had some crazy matches this week in Americas. But we have to start on a bit more of a somber note again, which is, of course, a fan favorite player who I think a lot of us really enjoyed watching throughout the career, brought a lot of positive energy, happy moments to Valorant fans across the world. Of course, went on to win champs last year, announced this week his early retirement. So I think we should just take this moment to say goodbye to Boostio and reflect a little bit on his career, because he really achieved some great heights.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always sad when a top player ends up retiring. You know, we've got Demon 1 on the bench right now. Ye dropped out too. So I just hope that Boostio can find a lot of success with, like, you know, the juggling and the trapeze, walking along the tightrope, like all of that kind of stuff that he's going to be doing in his future job. I hope he can find a lot of success with that.
I really hope so too. It's a sad moment for him, but holy shit, how did FURIA win this game?
They looked sick, though.
They looked sick. They came out, they were playing new stuff. They had a neon on Haven that I feel like that second map in this series was just a complete and utter comp diff, where 100 Thieves is playing some like old stuff, a KO comp that I've never really been huge on, compared to FURIA that just had such good ideas throughout. Their attack side, they were constantly getting free space in like a lobby control in so many of these rounds. And I mean, MW was just looking clean in this game.
Also, do you guys know the meme of when is like the two people on the bus and it's like the same thing, but
one's looking at the wall, like, one's looking out on a beautiful vista.
Yeah, so it's just one is like there's no point, and the other one is there's no point, and the guy that's happy, that's FURIA. Like they know they can't, they know it's not happening, and yet that it doesn't matter. There's no point, and they're happy about it. It's great. This team, if you guys were watching the voice comms that they were posting on YouTube, they hated each other. Like, they were so mad. It was a Havoc on comms telling Noswer to like shut up or something. It was some crazy shit like that. And now they add Shan. Shan is just good vibes, and they realize that they just want to have like good individual performances, and that's not something that you usually get from teams that can't really make it. So they just have good vibes, and that's the way that they were winning. I swear, Noswer is the most like he's so serious. Never seen him enjoy something. For that interview, he was the happiest guy I've ever seen. He was like so excited. I was just saying like, hey, welcome to the, and he was already talking. He had so much to say. It's like the best day of his life. It is truly that there's no point, and that's great for them.
One must imagine FURIA happy.
And they are. That's the thing. They are. Can't they? Okay. I don't want to. Can't they technically still make playoffs? They can technically still make playoffs.
But you know what this is? We need to learn from last year. Remember that Pearl game when Khalil was one-shotting everyone.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And all
Yes,
you guys
We
were just
overreacted.
and then we
Hold
put them number 1 on the
You
power
put them number
rankings.
one. We're back.
Put them
there.
back.
We
Put them
too
back to
are.
number 1.
Yeah,
Furia
we
number
need to-
1.
Furia is winning champions, guys.
Yeah, I need to learn from our mistakes. But honestly, like it's a good example of like what a kind of vibes guy can bring to the team. Nozwa and Khalil, just insane performances. Like
Yeah.
probably the peak that I've seen from them. Some of the rounds that they were actually like getting multi kills or winning that should never be happening, and they were doing it on multiple occasions. And yeah, to shout out to Zan just coming in and having that impact, not the fragging impact, but it just shows like the vibes are so important. And yeah, it was just everything. Dude, I think they really outplayed them. Like they won Icebox and they lost double pistol. Like they were
Yeah.
legit the
Yeah,
better
yeah.
team. Like they
Yeah,
really were.
they definitely were. I think 100 Thieves also, this was like a leaning into the new meta versus trying to, I mean, the KO comp is not even old meta, to be honest. It was never really meta on this map, but it's more to do with like the old meta way of trying to play on Haven. And this is very different what Furia are throwing at you. The breach and the gecko with the neon, it's really leaning into the strengths of the new patch heavily.
Do you
I
think
think
it
that
is
paid
that
dividends.
different than old? Because I'm thinking like 2021 Haven, where in like the NA meta was really prevalent a lot
the
of the
neon
time
and the
on these
chamber?
like neon chamber
Yeah.
meta. We also had fade rays, which I feel like fade rays, which I feel like also played to a lot of the same win conditions of these like really heavy early gambits on defensive side for like control down like A or C, and then like a lot of like flood retakes. I don't feel like it plays all that dissimilar.
I don't think that the Fade Rays comps play very similarly to the Neon comps. I think the Neon comps are very like, they're overwhelming to deal with on site.
Sure.
It's really difficult to stop the Neon from getting space against you, and they're scaling off the utility so much quicker than even a Jet could when you were playing like the double initiator comps
That
as
is
well.
fair, yeah.
So I think those, yes, we've seen Neon be played on the map before. Obviously, like Optic with Victor were really good with it, and Zeta were playing some with Depp and stuff as well. But this feels, yeah, if you don't want to call it new meta, then I guess going back to that meta. But it's not the standard in most of the time. Like most of the time,
and the
this has been
gecko
like a
also
server
makes
breach
it
kind of.
a little different too, like having that refreshable util and stuff like that. I think it adds cool combos. too.
If there's one thing here about Furia that I don't really get, it's just the roles, because Shan was a pretty good neon when he was playing for crew and like in tier 2 and all that. He was a pretty good neon. At least compared to MW. I feel like MW does not have the movement, and when we saw MW do really, really good, that's when he was playing Initiator last year. That's when he was like one of the best initiators. So I thought that coming into the Neon meta, it was gonna be Shan playing it. So I'm surprised they're not doing that. But to be fair, like split 1, what was it, like Furia? We're changing comps every single week. I don't think it's gonna be the case anymore, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shan playing with the Neon more. I feel like that's unlocks a lot more of the potential of the agent.
Sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what-
I want to ask though about 100 Thieves, because we're pretty positive on Furia. They had some great ideas. They played a great game. Does this push the needle for people's opinions of 100 Thieves? Because I think for a lot of people coming out of, even though I think it was a disappointing run at Champions, people were still like pretting that they'd be a top squad, that they'd win Americas, that they're
For
going to go
sure.
crazy. Does this push the needle down on 100 Thieves at all?
According to the fans, yes. I was
It
I was
does
doing
look-
some
Okay.
VOD review stuff. 100 Thieves fans coming into my chat, just beaten. Like they're so dejected already. If you're a 100 Thieves fan out there, pick yourself up, have some self-respect. Don't immediately just start cowering in a corner as soon as your team loses one match. It's not that they hate the team either. They don't come into it with like oh, fuck these guys, like they're not good anymore. They're actually just, oh, my team's done now. They're gonna lose. They're not gonna make champs. Get a fucking grip on yourselves, 100 Thieves fans. Get a fucking grip. Like, they're still gonna be fine. Their strength of schedule moving forwards is not bad whatsoever. They're gonna recover. They just came back from Shanghai and they met a team that was playing some pretty good Valorant. Relax. They're gonna make playoffs. They're probably gonna win in playoffs. Have some fucking dignity.
Yeah, I don't think so, man.
We
I think
do
stick in the corner. Keep crying, dude. I'm scared about this team. they're where Sentinels were after Madrid. it's the same thing. They come back, there's a little meta change, they got to adapt, they got no time to adapt, they haven't been playing with any Neon. I don't know, man. They're losing to FURIA.
How are
I'm
they gonna
worried. I'm worried
adapt
for them.
though? I think it should be fine. They should be fine for the most part, but I don't know what they're gonna do with Aspen and Cryo if they need to play Neon. I feel like this is just one of the teams that you just keep them playing what they've been playing.
Put Austin on Neon. Austin is a good Neon player. I remember him playing Neon on Fracture.
That's true.
He was
That
great.
is true.
100 Thieves fans, lift yourself up by the Boostio because we have a live look of what 100 Thieves fans are like right now. This is number 100 Thieves fans, Sean Gares. Play the clip.
They do get a site. They're instantly delayed after taking time on a fact finding by a lockdown.
It's actually over.
Then they get into a Hunter's Fury that splits. They do get a site.
So your
That's
whole
so
bit was
funny.
for Sean. I see. Okay, it makes sense.
He no, it wasn't. It
Sean was
wasn't
coming in
even
with
Sean.
that.
I didn't realize Sean was that dejected. But yeah,
Sean
have
is
some
always
dignity,
dejected.
Sean's leading them all.
Sean also he at one point it was like 5-6, and I saw a clip from Sean's channel where FURIA took a timeout. I think it was on Icebox, and he's like,
Pigs.
yeah, the pigs. He's like calling into the FURIA timeout, and it's like pigs squealing, and they lose the game.
I feel like in Sean, you can see the transformation of a 100 Thieves fan from the beginning to the end of the game. Oh, we're coming back from a good run at Shanghai. We're playing FURIA. They're out of the tournament. They're so chalked, to just zero belief in the team at the end.
It's so funny, man. But what's their upcoming schedule? I'm trying to open VLR right now, and it's just not working for me for some reason. But is that VLR? Is that having problems?
Yeah,
right now?
VLR
is-
sucks.
Get a little Wikipedia
All right.
out, maybe.
What is the? Does anyone remember the upcoming schedule for 100 Thieves?
Hold on. The spike.gg, the first time anyone's going to open this website. 100 Thieves. How the fuck does this work?
What about Wikipedia? Does this show?
Why
Yeah,
is
that's
there
what I'm
like a
on right now,
bio?
but
100 Thieves
where does it
is
show
an
the next
American
game?
Over
They
here.
should have
over
their
here.
upcoming games, right?
Over here, but it's.
Oh, there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they play against Leviatan and MIBR. Guys, stop worrying. Stop worrying.
And
They're
then they
gonna
play
beat-
against EG and Loud.
Yeah, EG and Loud are difficult games, but they're already going to be 5-5 if they beat Lev and MIBR, which is going to
That-
probably get you into playoffs.
That's
5-5 is gonna.
greatest.
That's gonna be
If that's
fine.
if that's your cope, that is not the greatest cope. That'd
That's
be
gonna
5
be
and 5,
fine.
and maybe the other results will be okay. That they'll just make it.
I mean, they should be
wild.
favored to beat EG and Loud anyway, but if they don't
Sure.
at that point, I think they're still fine. But like, that is one of the softer schedules you could get coming up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Sure.
Mm.
I mean, who else
think
do you want to play against if not those teams? Like,
I
Lev and
wanna play
MIBR, now is the
against
perfect
Furia.
time.
I wanted to. Yeah, I mean, NRG maybe would be the only other team.
Whoa.
Dude, if they lose to MIBR again, though, and don't make playoffs because they lose to MIBR, the 0-6 team that have been previously running ShahzaM and Paint.
They're still
I
yet
mean-
to, like, they didn't win a map in all of the first stage.
Yeah.
It's.
They've gotten over 10 rounds in a map once.
Yeah. It would be chalked. It would be chalked. But I think for now, we can hold our breath. They have a good strength of schedule. They came back. They're going to have a new meta. It should be fine. It should be fun. And congratulations to Fury. It was a great win for them. Let's talk about a team, though, who I think has a bit more, maybe, of a worrying prospect. Because NRG made a big change. Everyone was really excited about this team. They brought back Finesse and Sam. It's going to be really great. And then they lose their first match. And they have a tough schedule coming up. And it's a little more worrying for this team. Kurt, if we could pull up their schedule and take a look at this, too.
Pull up VLR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull up your heart. Oh,
Great.
oh, okay. Thank you, VLR. But yeah, NRG coming out in their first win. They have G2, Crew, and Cloud9 coming up, which I think are all tough matches. And it feels like this team is put in a really difficult position, showing potential, I think, in that first game, but not having enough to bring it over the line.
But also,
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
before we talk about how it's over completely for NRG, I do just want to point out that they did look better. Like actually
Absolutely.
having a functional leadership situation. They looked like a competent team they looked like a competent team that hadn't had very much time to practice and build out their strat book, rather than an incompetent team that didn't. I mean, they didn't have that much time anyway at the beginning of the season, but they didn't use their time by the look of it super productively. They were lacking a lot of like tactical depth on their defense side of Sunset. They didn't go for many of the like B main re-clears, mid re-clears, like the aggression off the back of Victor. But on the attack side, Finesse was constantly ahead of the game, always making that possible, realizing where the strengths were in the composition. They had some set plays synced up, and they weren't just doing that terrible stuff where they like thought they'd faked an area with some single piece of utility and then running into stacks. Like all of those massive problems had dissipated, and now you've just got a competent team that is massively behind in terms of their time investment.
Yeah, I also legitimately thought like some of the stuff they were pulling out was pretty cool. Like I feel like on Lotus they had way more set plays than I thought they would. I really thought they were going to have an issue of like not having a deep enough like scrapbook of preset stuff with the lack of practice. But I was pretty impressed with a lot of the ideas they were showing. I feel like they got beaten in a lot of these like late round, mid rounds where like a Sentinels player was coming out winning a clutch, something like that at the end, or they were kind of having like these little fundamental issues, someone swinging ahead of another, just like new team problems. But they showed me that they are a team that with time I think can legitimately be a real contender, and actually had way more hope. Even on this Sunset too, they were so close to mounting that comeback in the second half. Their attack side calling throughout that entire comeback was absolutely on point. I think they were setting Victor up really well in a lot of these rounds. Like, there is real hope for NRG fans, but I think that hope honestly has to come next year.
Yeah, it's really sad because honestly, I really like this energy that we're watching, and the one that we got to watch against Sentinels, where they're bringing these new ideas and creativity. And that was kind of the problem last year, where they were playing a little bit more of the same every single time, and it was just not working out. And obviously, when you have Victor on the Neon, it just makes sense to play these kind of compositions. And I know they've been cooking and trying to test out new things and bring them, so it's good to see. But it's unfortunate because, yeah, it's most likely just not going to happen. The schedule is not helping them at all. And just bringing this last changes, that's when you're watching a team like NRG look so good and have so much potential, and you realize they have no chance. That's when you start to just see the problem of the season and the way that the split 2 is working out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of holding out a little bit of belief that they can do it. I'm looking.
You think
like,
so?
I think so. I was looking. So if I look at the Lotus game, I think they just got wrecked by the double Sentinel comp, and they hadn't played against it, so they came up with a game plan that they wanted to like not let them over towards site. So then they're kind of in some weird area where they're just taking a lot of duels that maybe they're not used to cracking. But when I look at Sunset, I don't know. I saw a lot of potential. I think the main thing they need to focus on is their defense. The defense is really off. I think they miss opportunities to like snowball when it comes to they win the pistol. Second round, they lose the third round to the bonus, and in that fourth round, there's a few rounds where like they have the ult, but they're maybe taking like too many risks. The ult is dying. But overall, if I look at the attack side and I look at what the changes that they need to do on defense side, I think it's pretty fast changes, and I don't want to look at Lotus too much. Because Sentinel had a sick comp, and they Sentinel was super drilled on that map. So
yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of faith. I'm glad it looks better.
But they're still playing G2 next week, and then they go into. I think Crew and Cloud9 are both probably winnable games for them. But even if they do, if they drop one of these games, the best possible record if they win out would put them at 6-4. But if they lose one of those, then they're going to be 5-5. Or wait. No, they're going to be 4-6, which probably puts them out of contention when they're up against like 100 Thieves, EG, G2 in that similar space that are starting to get some of these wins on the board. It's just really tough, I think, even like mathematically, to make playoffs unless they're like winning out these games or relying on other teams to happen. Which is why I join you in your hope, but I just don't know if I can see them beating G2.
It's also just rough that like they talk about the schedule, they have so little time to adjust between these games, and not just adjusting between the games, but if you were playing a team a week from now, like if they had their super week where they played double matches the week after, or maybe even 2 weeks from then, they've got more time together to fix up some stuff, to add more to the strat book, to really refine the defense side, that kind of thing. The fact it's all happening so quickly after only about a month together, that's what makes me reluctant to believe that they can beat G2 or Crew. Could they beat C9? Maybe. But I think that's a pretty tough ask, all 3 of those games.
It's definitely a tough ask. I don't know. I think that I would actually side with the fact that they might do it. That's where like I'm sitting at the moment. I think if I look at how much they've got down in a short amount of time, I think that I'm believing that they can win the 3 games. It's just whether that actually secures them in playoffs or not, because we'll see.
If they win all 3,
We'll see
it
what
should
happens.
do. It's
should be
really
6, yeah.
difficult. It's really difficult
Well,
to
they'll
have
be-
some kind of insane 3 like multi-way tie at 6 and 4.
Okay, then I'm on board of believing them.
I think there should be even like one 5-5 team that makes playoffs, but that's just speculation based
Yeah.
on like
Yeah,
how it might work.
gonna be fun at the end of weeks. With some big games.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
not going to
just-
be fun for NRG. It's going to be fucking brutal. This
Yes.
next
Yeah.
week is like, just don't sleep. Oh, well, no, actually, you should sleep because then your performance will improve. But don't do anything with your spare time. The schedule must be maxed out for work. You must not take any time for yourself.
Yeah, it's a really tough position for them. My biggest hope is that even if they can't pull off the miracle, we get to see this team next year, because my God, has it reignited my hope and my faith in this team, and is, I think, shown the potential the players on this team, the level of these names should be showing.
Yeah.
A team, though, another one who I think kind of surprised with their performance was MIBR, who came out. Their season is also over. They've signed ShahzaM, and they lost to Leviatan, but there was some chances where they could have gotten something going in that game.
They started 5-1 in the map 1. I was like, wait, is this also Aspas towards the beginning? He was not doing the Aspas thing, so I was like, there's a chance that if he doesn't play like crazy, there's a chance MIBR at least take that map. I don't know though. I kept going back to, I wonder if this is actually a composition that they wanted to run, the Yoru and the ISO on Ascent. It was obviously very attack sided, and I mean we saw it towards the end as Lev were able to make that kind of small comeback. But I feel like I hear some people saying that is something that they want to run. I hear some saying that, yeah, they're just trying it because it's just ShahzaM and the circumstances that they're in. I liked it. I don't know if we're going to see it, or even if we're going to see the actual roster for MIBR.
I think what was funny to me is I felt like the ISO had like no impact. I feel like all the cool stuff they had was around the Yoru, who is like been in the game and had the potential to do that for a while. But yeah, I mean, credit to Leviatan. They kind of, I think, got caught off guard by a lot of these, like, to MIBR's credit, solid kind of gimmicky set plays, gave them that early lead. But they rallied back completely in that second half, and Icebox, I think, was much better in their
Aspas
control.
going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Yoru ISO is kind of cooking the Yoru ult into vulnerables and the stuff that you can do with the, I mean, when Paper X were playing this composition on Haven and they were like scaling up C with the ISO wall and stuff, I think there's ways of making it work. It just doesn't
Sure.
look quite as good as running the Neon or maybe even the default compositions too. But it doesn't mean that it's necessarily terrible. I've got to be honest with you though, I still don't feel good about Lev. This game did not make me feel. Com had better performances. He wasn't languishing completely towards the bottom of the scoreboard, and you know it was a win in the column, and Lev were never really in too much danger. But I'm struggling to have belief in this team after what I've witnessed recently in like the lower bracket final of Americas onwards, when they played that game against G2 and then their performances at Shanghai. I I'm finding it very, very difficult to believe that this team is going to be able to keep up against the likes of Sentinels, 100 Thieves, G2, NRG,
I think,
EG, Loud now.
I feel like they were so reliant on like a lot of like individual plays in this one too. Like I think if Tex didn't win so many of like those multi-kill rounds on Ascent and like have moments like that, like again, it feels like I just want them to get like a clean win and like prove that they are like clearly better than a team. But it keeps being like Aspeth has to have a performance. Tex needs to clutch these rounds. They need to like kind of skirt by to like regain control late in games. Like this. I don't know if you feel differently, Dan, but this I'm with Josh that I don't feel like I have any more confidence in Lev than I did going in.
So what are the next matches? We said it was 100 Thieves, and then whatever is next for Lev, I think they're a little bit. It's kind of a similar situation to NRG, but not in the terms of like you can't get enough wins, but more in the they're trying to do something new, and it might just be too late for the matches that they have left. Okay, so they have 100 Thieves, EG, Loud, FURIA. Those are not easy matches for Lev, but I do see them winning at least 2-3 of them.
Which ones?
Two or three of them. 2 or 3 of them.
I'm hard pressed to pred them versus FURIA.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Let's chill, everybody. We got 100 Thieves. They're winning that one. And then we got. And then what is the last one? FURIA. That's at least 2, and then 3. I would say. Loud. Oh, Loud for sure. Evil Genius is the one that I see don't. So this is why. Everybody relax. Everybody relax. This is what's happening. So Gokid is gone. And Gokid was, honestly, from what I could see and the way that this whole thing came out of why Gokid was picked as a coach, I just don't think that he was fit for the role and how the team ended up looking like. Now, Ito, when I interview him and the chances that I've gotten to talk to him, he has a completely different vision of the game. In the interview that I had with him, I was like, what is the difference between you being the assistant coach and being the head coach? And he's saying that he was just feeling and doing what he had to do. He disagreed with the vision that Gokid had of the game. And now he's trying to put the team in to play more aggressive because they were playing so passive and put in situations where it was like very passive roles for a couple of them, and that means like the confidence was going down if they never went to your side, if you were not engaged in the fight as you should be. So he has a vision where he wants to put Aspas forward, but also allow everybody to play a more aggressive game. I think those are all good signs to be a good match against 100 Thieves and to be a good match against those teams that are trying to look for a fight or trying to just shut down Aspas, but then you can't because the whole team is actually trying to back up that aggression.
I mean, I'm down for that vision of the game. I feel like one of the big problems, actually, with Leviatan is that Tex has been playing too passively and too much as a lurker. And what that means is that Com doesn't have his spot. Com is the guy that normally is going to be playing back of the pack, going on the flank, like getting the easier kills, getting the trade kills, playing for the clutch. And if Tex is dominating that position, then it forces Com to be playing further forwards, taking more like trade fights and stuff where he's not as successful. But it's a nice vision, it's a nice theory, but they didn't really demonstrate that against MIBR. So are they going to demonstrate that against 100 Thieves 1 week later, a much better team that was better at Leviatan's peak of making it to an international event and making 3rd place? 100 Thieves still played way better than them. Like, was there a point in the year where 100 Thieves have been worse than Lev? Like the start of the year? I can't even remember.
Really.
No, never. In this entire season.
Yeah, I think it's happening now.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
Now's the time.
It's happening right now. The only thing that I don't know what they're going to do is if they're going to put Aspas on Neon, because he did play Neon for last year with Loud for like a couple matches.
But when they played him on Neon, it looked so... That was the worst for Loud last year. When they went to Tokyo and he didn't play Jet once and the Neon did not look up to like... I'm not saying he can't play it, but I'm just saying it looked rough the last time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He played Jet on one map and he picked it up one time. It was like 1 or 2 rounds he had op the entire tournament.
And they never played op
crazy.
On the
I think you just keep him on Jet and Raze, and then you go for this approach that Ito has on playing more aggressive and having have a more active part of what Com is doing or what Tex is doing, and I feel like that should fix the team. Yeah, and also, I mean, Aspas has been here for 2 weeks now. He hasn't been for the visa issues as well. So, with 1 extra week and for that next match, I feel like this should be good.
I'm not
He
worried
was
about
stuck in
Aspas.
Shanghai for quite a while.
I'm not worried about
Never-
Aspas. I know
never
that
been worried
Aspas is going to be
myself.
Oh
fantastic.
yeah.
It's the rest of the team that I'm worried about. I feel like I'm super down on Leviatan. I think that I think they have a chance of losing all of their upcoming games. I don't think they will. I think they'll probably get a win. I mean, the most obvious one is to look towards FURIA, maybe even Loud as well. But to get 3 out of 4,
It's a rough schedule for them.
the thing
I
is though,
think.
they're in playoffs anyway, basically, right? Because they've already done enough in the regular season.
Yeah, they need like 1 win.
They would need to straight up lose every game, which, while possible, that would be a generational fumble.
Yeah. I mean, they should be making it to playoffs. The question is, like, what else are they going to do? But they are one of the few teams who has, like, the time and the opportunity to actually be able to experiment in some of these games. And
Dude, fuck me. If Leviatan get a good seed because they did well in the previous stage, even if they, like, fuck this up and they get, like, 2nd place or something because everyone else is beating each other right now, and then Aspas just has a god game in the one match they need to make champions, and we send just... I
See,
can
the
see a
thing is,
world
Josh,
in which
is
they
it's
haven't fixed
happening.
anything, but they're going.
the thing is, Josh, that is going to... You've
Yeah.
spoken that into existence, and now there is no doubt in my mind that Lev is going to go. Oh my God. This format is awesome in a lot of ways. Let's move on to a team, though, that needs every win they can to try and make their spot in playoffs, but looked pretty sick on their debut. That's EG. They had a resurgence at the end of last stage, and they came out, and holy shit, I needed Jawgemo on Neon in my life. The guy... I'm convinced throughout his entire time being a Raze player was the best movement player on Raze, hands down, and I think he's making a case for it on Neon too. He looked sublime on that agent, and EG came out with some great ideas to get this win on the board.
Yeah, I back that as well. Because when I was watching Jawgemo at Champs on Lotus, I was like, oh, okay, they actually have the best satchel movement for like what they're trying to do with Sky Flashes. And now I'm watching him on Neon. It's like the first ever time I've watched a game where I was like, don't care about the minimap, don't care about anyone else, just give me this POV for the whole time. Like, the ISO was pretty good as well, but I just want to watch that every single map. It's so sick to see someone's brain moving that fast on an agent, and then it just having... Because the agent can do so much at the moment. The slide cooldown is so short. Like, it's so short, so you can do some mental stuff, and the ult is busted. And yeah, I just think that this guy is so talented. It's a really good meta for this team. I was joking in my chat the other day about them like making champs and actually doing like insanely well at champs, because I don't know, when I watch this guy, I'm just like, wow, I have so much faith in this team, because I just think that he looks like the most talented, like mechanical player that I've seen. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of that too is a lot of when teams rely on one mechanically talented player, it's what we're referring to is them hitting headshots. And that, I think, it's variable. It's form-based. But what Jawgemo is demonstrating in this game is, yeah, he's winning a lot of opening duels and stuff, but he's actually just got the mechanics of the agent down incredibly well and incredibly early too. And that's actually just... That's going to stay with you. That's not something that's form-based. He's just making decisions about how to use his abilities, how to path, and how to string them together in a way that's better than everybody else on Neon right now. We haven't seen Miniboo play yet, and some other people. We haven't seen Zekken play, for example. So maybe there's other people that are going to impress us even more or just as much. But at the moment, dude, it's Jorg by a mile, and like second is Monya. And to be honest, Jorg's like still blowing Monya out of the water for me.
Yeah, I think you could see the gap in that. We'll talk more about it in a second, but I didn't feel like Sidok's debut on the duelist role playing into the Neon was that bad. It was very different than Jaw, right? Like, he wasn't going for as many of these like crazy things. I didn't feel like it was a movement diff, but he was playing with the team well, was setting up for a lot of these ideas. Like, it looked reasonable, but you contrast that to Jaw, where they had so many of these moments where he's putting himself in consistent positions to get an advantageous fight just off of just a complete gap in mechanics, was winning them so many rounds on on Sunset. And on their defensive side too. Like the flood retakes they had with this comp were so overwhelming when you're bringing in what we've kind of already seen to be a super strong combo with the breach and the fade. You have a haunt coming in, Jaw's running you down. He has his own stun that's being put in this execute. It's just so brutal to deal with.
I don't think anybody else is gonna be as good as Jawgemo in the way that we saw. Like he put the bar so high, he was insanely good, and that's the difference between teams adapting to the new meta and a composition that actually works out for them, and teams just forcing the meta and forcing the Neon because it's kind of what you're supposed to do. And a lot of teams are going to try it out. A lot of teams are going to play the Neon. Is going to be kind of like we saw from Sadak, where sure, you're playing with the Neon as a team player. You're creating that space. You're having these ideas with the team, but it's never going to compare to a Neon that is not only helping out the team, but also mechanically allowing you to close out and win these rounds. You're not going to, that's so hard to do what Jawgemo is doing. It's insane.
Yeah. I'm a bit concerned even that the ISO worked so well in terms of giving them like so many first kills. What was the record he had at the end? Like 21-3?
Yeah.
21-3. Now that wasn't
ridiculous.
all on ISO. He if you take out 8 and 1, so what is that? That's he was 13 and 2 on ISO.
Yep.
Across 2 maps, which is, I mean, obviously ridiculously good in terms of first kills, but actually the impact to me was nowhere near what he had on the Neon. And so I'm a little concerned that like the numbers side of things being so good for the ISO is going to lead EG to want to lean into that, when actually I don't think that's where they're going to find their most like their largest edge in the meta right now. Their largest edge seems to be to lean into the Jawgemo Neon on maps
I'll
where
also
you
say
can.
that I think the comps that they're running isn't like, with the ISO, it's not many like combos. It's not like it's like a double damage into like into Killjoy and you're trying to get damage like done from the mollies. I think if they wanted to, they could just switch it up anyway as well, which is good. But yeah, I share the same like worry with you that maybe they just keep the ISO, and for it like the consistency level just feels more. It's higher with Neon in my books. Like you can just do the same thing instead of relying on a lot of the duels.
Yeah.
Whereas, but yeah, I think the good news is they can just play these comps and just put a Neon in. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think their Lotus comp you can 1-for-1 and
Lotus.
Neon
Oh,
in.
yeah.
I'm kind of fine with keeping the. I liked a little bit more the ISO on Icebox. I liked the vulnerable shot combos. I felt like I liked some of the ideas they had for like the wall to scale in when they were like going towards B. I feel like there was a little bit more meat to the ISO on that map that I'm kind of cool with them continuing to play it. But I think on the Lotus for sure, it would be a pretty easy swap to just go over towards the Neon, and that would give them an even greater edge.
I mean, did they just straight yoink this from RRQ? It was them that were playing it like a couple days before EG, right? But
yeah,
I don't think I mean, it's just a couple of days though.
Yeah, I know. It's only a couple of days. I was thinking about this because that is not long enough to play a comp and like refine it. But they're doing so many of the same ideas, like the same like vulnerable shock dart combo onto belt, same like ways that they were taking fights onto the sites and stuff. It seemed bizarre how similar the ideas were.
I wonder if they were just scrimming it already and then added some of the ideas once they saw another team play it.
You gotta have those things though. That's the thing. You gotta have like an orb punish. You gotta have that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like the most
It's
obvious.
the most obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Convergent
the main
evolution.
thing. Yeah, pretty much. Like we have to have multiple things on these maps. This comp, this is the version of us doing it. The one thing that I'm like seeing at is this is the best ult in pro play at the moment. I think, like the ISO ult on attack, the win rate on attack is through the roof. It really is.
I mean, just being able to like yoink the Sentinel and then hit a site and have all their util be gone is pretty crazy.
We're gonna have to see like. And like, have anti-KO setups, you can have to see like anti-ISO setups, but a lot of the time they're just doing it off info, so you can't really like play off site, because then you get a free site. So I don't know, this ult is very, very strong. I kind of want to see it go to 8, but it'll probably get changed anyway for ranked. We'll see.
And when is the new patch being played with the nerf as well?
The 9 patch, I'm not sure, because I heard that they were putting it in early to fix the ISO bug,
The sound bug.
Oh yeah.
That was so annoying. In
Not
this
the
game,
sound
by
bug.
the way.
There's a worse bug. I'm not sure if you want
really?
to make it public. Wait,
right,
I guess
fair
we have the update soon. It's Tuesday. It's fine. You could crouch, and your hitbox would be the same hitbox as you crouch for your shield.
Oh.
That's what it was. So it'd be like impossible to shoot the shield, basically.
Yeah, I'd never have used that bug.
So that's what the bug was. That's what they changed. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I
Look at-
wouldn't. I think it would
Look
be
at
unethical.
Mimi's tracker. Mimi's just been winning recently a surprising amount of games.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, I'm back in
crazy.
Ascension, guys. How did that happen? Yeah.
No, but I actually haven't been playing ISO.
So I think it's soon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to pivot the conversation for a second though to Loud before we move on to our Preds real quick. What did we make of the team? What did we make of Sadak on the Duelist? Is this the right direction for Loud in the future?
It's weird, isn't it? But it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad at all.
Is the team? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's kind of what you were saying earlier, where it's like it just felt just because we had it in comparison with Jawgemo, it was just like, well, this is someone that's like made for the role instead of someone playing the role. I think he kind of nailed it with that one. Yeah, that's just what it felt like. He didn't do a bad job at all. It looked actually pretty decent. Just the fact it's side by side against some guy who's mechanically unbelievable in the agent that you're like, well, it wasn't as good as it could be because that's the comparison. But overall, I didn't think
very
it was
smartly.
bad.
Yeah,
no, it was.
exactly.
Made a lot
Like
of space.
smart
always
team
had
play.
trades.
Yeah, they clearly had some good setups. It's just that Loud kind of screwed themselves so badly at the beginning of the year that they're now trying to dig themselves out of a hole.
The thing is that I don't know, just the way that we see the Neon, it's not because obviously we know that Les would be crazy in the Duelist and whatnot, but the mentality for Sadak has always been, we'll just have everybody be comfortable and everybody playing what they want to play, and the way that we can like set those players up for success, and then whatever's left I'll take. That has always been the way that he sees the game. He did it when he was playing Sova recently in the split one, the first time that we saw it, and it was always been just willing to do anything for the team. So I think it was just like, it's left, somebody has to play Neon, I'll take it, and then
Sure.
he's playing it well for the team.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he definitely is. It was a solid performance for Loud. I think still I'm excited to see more for them going forward. But we're running low on time, so let's push through to our Super Week predictions. It's going to be a big one here for Americas. We have a lot of exciting matches. Before we get into it, though, last week, the match of the week, Little Timmy, you guys, you're so smart. You all voted for Sentinels, 71% of the vote, and they won their game.
Yay.
Good job, Timmy.
Yay!
Yay. This week, though, we have a question before we get into the Preds again. Which match do you guys think should be our match of the week?
I think I don't know. To be honest, there's so many of the games. I'm kind of looking forward to Sentinel's Crew just because we didn't get to see Crew, and I think
Sure.
that could be a pretty banging one to throw out there.
NRGG2 could be a good one too, I
Yeah,
think.
that's a good one.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
Leviatan 100 Thieves might be...
No,
No?
no.
I mean, Dan
Just
Dan
haven't
would
done
think
it.
that. I mean, she
I
says that
agree.
Lev is winning that game, so it could
Yeah.
be a good one.
I think the
Yeah.
G2 one's nice.
Kurt, do you want us to decide one now, or do you want to
I
put
think
it to
the
put it
viewers
to the
can
fans?
comment, and then I'll
Okay.
go based on the highest upvoted comment.
Well,
Maybe.
those are some options for you. So put your little comment down below of what you think the match of the week should be, and we'll put out a poll for you guys. And maybe little Timmy can keep his streak. For predictions, though, let's get into our first match. EG taking on FURIA. FURIA getting a big start to their season. EG, though, guaranteed
Yep.
in this game. Is this underrating FURIA?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No?
Dude, they look good.
They looked really
AG
good.
Yeah, they look really good, but EG is the way that they plan out these rounds is the most elaborate that we've seen yet. I mean, we already talked about the Neon, we already talked about everything else, and yeah, sure, Furia has some ideas, but I don't think it gets close to what EG has been doing.
I also think that Furia's map pool, I don't know how, like historically, Furia were really good on Icebox Haven. Those were the maps they really loved to play. And the game against 100 Thieves featured both of those maps. We haven't seen enough of Furia yet to know if they're really good on a bunch of different maps. Whereas I feel like I'm very confident that EG have... What we actually saw from EG was them play ISO on two of them, where they could have been playing more of the Neon stuff. So I feel like the deeper you get into map pool territory and more like of the unknowns that we haven't seen yet, the more I favor EG.
Yeah.
But I might just be in love with Jawgemo's neon. That might be what this is.
That was a big factor for me as well. I agree with what you said. I need to, dude. I'm just thinking of last year. I'm just thinking that Pearl, and I'm thinking I need to see it twice. I got to see it twice, double weeks in a row, and then I'm on board.
For
very
me,
impressive this week, but
I'm just thinking in these matches, FURIA is leaning into some of the new stuff, some of these new ideas, trying out the ISO, trying out the neon in similar ways to EG. But I trust that EG will have a better execution, and I also think are just pound for pound probably a better mechanical team. I will not let myself get blinded by one result. Yes.
I mean, dude, Jawgemo absolutely is better than everybody on FURIA. But I mean, when you look at EG,
the rest of the EG, but like they're not traditionally.
EG are built like a fucking pyramid. When you look at them on the scoreboard, there is such an enormous difference every time between the people at the top and the people at the bottom.
I think they play really well together to like punish a lot of this. Like, I don't think they're gonna let Khalil sit on a site and like execute into him and let him get 3 kills. I just don't see that happening.
I mean, fair enough, but also 100 Thieves are normally good at doing that, and Khalil just had a kind of a god game that those few times that they ran into.
And just like last season, it'll be a one and done. He's allowed 1 game a year. He cashed in his voucher.
What a game!
It's not happening again. What a game! What a game!
It's the people from the bottom of EG that I'm slightly worried about, because when you build things from the bottom and you start making the comparisons down there, like the weakest fragger on FURIA this season has been Havoc, who I think was just choking under the pressure, and now that there's no pressure at all, Havoc's playing so much better. So I think that whereas for the EG players, I don't want to call out specifics because it actually kind of rotates depending on whose day it is to suck. But like there is always a couple of EG players that are either playing super supportively or very passively, while Jawgemo and +1, whoever it is. I mean, it was Superman this week with a little bit of Derek, but you know, it kind of rotates. But it's normally like Jawgemo +1 are running around trying to get all the kills, and the rest of EG are kind of floundering and not really doing that great in the frag department if they get challenged. And I think that FURIA could get advantages there.
There's definitely a chance for FURIA. Let's keep moving, though, because we are running out of time. Sentinels versus Crew. Crew did not play this week. They're going to have their chance to debut in Stage 2. And it's a blackjack guarantee.
I mean, that is...
This is going according to plan.
Surely
this is what I'm here for. A Plat
Did you come on the episode just to sabotage for Crew?
Sentinels. Nothing can go wrong. Everything. I'm happy. Thanks for having me, guys. This is great. This is part of my plan.
Kesnit tweeted, "LATAM will get respect even if they don't believe in us." Like after.
Yeah.
Was that? I think that was to do with the top 5 list that was posted by VCT Americas from the talent, right? Exactly. Top 5 players, Kesnit left off. He's like subtweeting the fuck out of it. And now here we're like, no, Crew, they've only had a phenomenal resurgence. The twists and turns of life, LATAM will respect it even if they don't want to.
Oh my god.
He was so angry. He was so angry. To be fair, I mean, he will take a lot of those things personal, which is all right. I think that fuels him to do good on the matches. He wants to prove, and he always has this vision of like Crew making it to champs and whatnot. So,
sure.
Yeah, but I will say in ranked, and he's been playing a lot of ISO. So that's something to cook with. He's been playing a lot of ISO in ranked. I don't know if more, but at least in stream and stuff, he was playing a lot of ISO. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but I think at least Crew, 1, they always make it to champs, and 2, even if this match against Sentinels is like you don't know what they're gonna do, individually I feel like we should go back to the form that we were watching Kesnit in towards the beginning of the season. It was just like the last 2 matches he was not, I don't know.
And I want to see them be great. And I think they will be towards the end of the season. And I not even towards the end of the season. I think they will be just this season straight up. But I don't think they're going to beat Sen. I think Sen had their game. They played a little close versus NRG. They got into things. They're rested. They're ready to go.
Oh, I feel like swapping. The more that we talk about it, the more Kesnit is just going to run through this team. They're not leaning into the second. They're not leaning into the second neon. They're playing like older meta stuff or the like Cypher Deadlock stuff. Dude,
can't do that.
Are you doing it, Josh?
Fucking destroy them.
No, he's not doing it.
Do it.
Josh, you're doing it.
Are you
Three.
They're
done?
going on a run! Send it! Send it! They're going
Oh
on a run!
my
no.
god. No, wait. I did all of this for what?
You can switch
They're
yours,
going on a
Dan.
run!
You can switch yours.
Yeah, but it's done now. Unless
Yeah,
we
I
all
mean,
go
what's the
to
point? It was
crew.
yeah, I mean, sure, but
The guarantee is gone. Sentinel, I now feel more confident than I ever have that Sentinels is winning this game. Okay, the other chance for LATAM to get some redemption is Leviatan versus 100 Thieves.
No.
And then this should be a nice honest guarantee. And Dan is actually gone for Lev.
did I not like, was my reasoning not great about them playing more aggressive? Now Com is
Sure.
gonna be more active. You know, I feel like
I don't
this
want
is
Com to be
all-
more active. I want Com to only shoot people when they're not looking at him. That's what I want from Com.
Lev is winning, and yeah, Lev is
I
winning.
think 100 Thieves is going to get a fire lit under their ass after the first week, and I think they have a little bit more time going into this game to come back and rally. And I have no faith in Leviatan.
Yeah, I'm kind of at the same point. I'm losing. As weeks go on, I'm losing faith in Lev.
You had faith left.
I had faith. I had faith actually going into Shanghai, to be honest.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right.
God,
Let's-
and look what they did with that faith.
Yeah, now it's buried.
Yeah,
Pretty
the
much.
faith is very much not high. Another game, though, that's going to be pretty good next week is the new NRG, who is obviously running out of chances playing against a G2, who every game counts, even though they went on this run. And we have a punter.
Okay.
3 of us for G2. Sliggy has gone out and predded NRG. What's the pitch?
I'm just a believer. I think the G2 have got a lot of they got a lot of demos out there. I think that NRG are good at anting once they have good amount of demos. So the team with a lot of demos, Sentinels bought new stuff. So obviously Lotus was a little bit cooked, but they couldn't really do it. But when they know how a team likes to play, I think they're very good at adapting to that. And I think the amount of demos the G2 have, and just what I saw from Sunset, and even the small things that I saw from NRG on Lotus, I think they take this. I think it's a lot closer than like what other people might think.
Sure.
I was going back and forth on this super heavily. I really feel like the slower pace that G2 plays at allows Finesse a lot of opportunities to outcall him as well, because it's not based so much on like the big set plays and like the pre-planned stuff and leaning into your advantages of having more time than NRG. You're kind of stepping into Finesse's domain and trying to look to outplay him with the slower rounds that Valen calls, and I think that's a good matchup for Finesse to try to have a lot of impact.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that pushed me over the line to actually go and pred for G2 was thinking, when this game gets really deep, when we get towards the end of a series, because I think this is going to be close, I think that even though G2 have showed a lot, what they really showed me in their run at Shanghai was having really good moments when the pressure is on in these close games to rally and find some super good calls at the end of matches.
Yeah.
I think just the amount of time they've had to practice and kind of the flow state they're in right now, extending off what happened in Shanghai, will just beat out a team that has not had that much time to kind of reestablish that, where we still are seeing some of those like newer team, or I guess kind of newly reunited team mistakes coming through. But there definitely is a chance for NRG still, in my opinion. The next game, though, it's also going to be pretty interesting towards the top end of these standings, is going to be Sentinels up against Cloud9. Cloud9, a team who had a great start to their stage 1, and Dan, despite their loss last week, is going to go for them. Talk us through the Cloud9 pick.
This is like I always, you know, most likely I'm trolling, but I like to believe in Cloud9 every time. I believe, and I always feel, and we always know that they have potential to win. They have the potential to be the craziest team, especially with Oxy. Oxy, I think, is one of my favorite players to watch. Mechanically insane. Just the way that the team tries to set him up and actually find success with him, I think it's amazing. It's gonna require some heroics from everybody else. So I don't think it's gonna be, I mean, I'm putting this just because I know the potential that they have, but it's not gonna be easy. And that's what sucks, because Cloud9, and I mean, I want to see them do good, and they always choke. I can't, like, I don't know how many more of these predictions of Cloud9 I have in me. I don't know.
even their last game felt like a choke against G2.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I can't really pred them in this one. I know, Sleeky, you have to go, so let's very quickly do our last prediction here. Loud versus Furia is the final game we're going to be predding out of America's a Brazilian clash. And again, Dan is
nice.
punting.
Wait, I don't remember putting Furia. Wait.
Honestly, I don't think that's that mad though.
Oh.
I'm down for a Furia punt in this game. I was thinking about it. I just think
was
the Loud is slightly
considering it.
better.
I was kind of considering it too.
Yeah, it's a close one.
I think it goes with the image that I told you about of like there's no hope and there's no hope. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I think Furia do feel a lot more chill and relaxed right now compared to how they've been for Split 1 and throughout like the whole season. And I think Loud has a lot of pressure on themselves mechanically. I think I agree with you, Mimi, what you were saying earlier about Furia being actually pretty good. It's just, to me, is MW's era. If MW is having a good game, Furia can win this for sure.
Cool. Anyone want or Sliggy, you gotta go, don't you?
Yeah, I gotta go. Is that cool?
You gotta go. Yeah,
I
it
gotta
is
go.
cool.
Go get
Enjoy
him.
the Wyatt Splat, the Wyatt's award. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for
Peace,
coming
Sliggy.
on, Sliggy.
All
Enjoy your
right,
coaster.
peace.
See you, man.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now that he's gone, Josh, do you wanna say a few words for Loud, and then we can get out of here?
I don't even really have any words to say. I'm just looking forward to the match between the two of them. I think this is the first time that Fury has actually got an opportunity to. It's like you're at the end of the season. The only thing you have to do is either look forward to next year, which Fury is not like looking forward to next year. I think they're going to be doing some heavy rebuilding. Or the other thing is you relish the schadenfreude of fucking it up for other teams. And I think that's exactly what Fury is looking for here. It's like, well, if we can't go, Loud aren't going either. Let's fuck them up. So I think that'll
Just
that'll
bring in
provide some
net negative for
motivation.
Brazil by winning the game.
I also
Yeah.
I think for Furia, yeah, sure. Like for most of the teams, when we think of them having no chances to making it to playoffs, to make it to champs, they do lose kind of that drive to try to get those wins. But for Furia, I think individually, every single one of these players, they want to prove themselves because how hard it is to be in tier 1 for Brazil. Just getting picked, even for the tier 2 right now, or staying in the tier 1, it's hard to do. So I think individually, at least, the players are gonna want to do their best. That's why Shand is coming in. I mean, Shand is coming in knowing that Furia were 0-5, that the chances are pretty much impossible, and he still wants to do good. He still wants to be in the tier 1, and that is kind of like how they're gonna get these wins of let's do our best individually, and that way we can maybe secure at least some of those spots for next year.
I
Okay.
love idioms translated through Google Translate. I don't know what Shandy was meaning by itching like a wet dog, but I love that. Is that like he was itching, like he was excited or something?
It sounds like
That's
it's like
such a
rearing
sick
to
idiom.
go.
Yeah, like raring to go. I itched like a wet dog. I'll be back next week. It's just so good.
That's awesome.
Wait, he's just saying that he was missing shots.
Oh, that was he was missing shots.
Binet is like whiffing.
Oh.
Oh,
Why
wait,
does
why
it
does that
translate
translate as
itched?
I have no idea.
itched like a wet dog? I whiffed like a. I don't know. That's
Maybe he was
bizarre.
trying to say I whiffed like a dog.
Yeah, and then he's saying he'll be back mechanically next week. So
Oh,
But
it
why?
must
But
be
why
that
does he
like.
say wet dog?
I do.
Well, that was probably just in a. Okay, here's my guess. I don't speak a lick of Portuguese, but like itching and whiffing are like the same words, cause like it, or that's what their word for whiffing is. Like, oh, you got an itch and you missed your shot, and he's just like doing like a idiom or something where it's like, oh, but it was like a wet dog, cause wet dogs don't hitch.
I
don't
like
know what
that
the
you're the
fuck I'm
one
saying.
trying to explain this when Dan like
He doesn't
speaks
speak
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
You've got a fairly like
I-
reasonable Portuguese understanding,
Yeah,
don't you?
I mean,
Yeah,
you have a
yeah,
better
yeah.
start than us idiots.
I just I get it, but I don't get what he's referencing with the dog. But
Okay. Well, I've successfully
Yeah.
mansplained a language that none of us fluently speak.
great.
Awesome way to end the episode. Let's get into our final segment of the week, the most important segment. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Tell anyone, but I got a special one this week for Wyatt's Weekly Award. Just 3 bob for it.
What did you mean by that, Josh?
I was selling the VCT Pacific trophy on the black market.
Yeah.
That was from the DRX studio.
Only
we just
3
yoinked
bob.
their trophy that they won.
That's incredible. Is there any
Only 3
pitches?
bob.
Are there any pitches for Wyatt's Weekly Award this week?
Yes, I've got a pitch for you.
All right.
The best Sentinel fan I've ever seen at the venue. The Sentinels fans with the Sentinel fan with the best take, the Sentinel fan with the best attitude, the Sentinel fan who's always there, ride or die with the team no matter what. Actually, most intelligent Sentinels fan, oldest Sentinels fan.
Coming in at
baby.
9 months.
She's so cute.
She's so cute. I can't believe that Valorant is at a point where like people who are fans of the sport are like having like I know there are people with children who are fans of the sport, but like people are bringing their kids into it. That's so cool. Shout out to this baby.
That is just, I'm getting older and I realize that people around me are becoming parents. That's you're becoming old, Mimi. You're becoming old.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Valorant's becoming old.
I mean, imagine tapping into, like, really, if you're looking at this from an org owner's perspective,
oh my
you
God.
want to try to harness the side of the side of your fan base that's like the most down to have children, because then you'll have tons of fans for the next generation. So
You're
really, you should be
repopulating the Earth with Sentinels fans.
Yeah. The org owners should be doing targeted marketing towards like the quiverful Christian cults and stuff that have like 14 kids. Because if you get the parents, then you've got 14 fans for every one that you convert. Think about that. That is insane return on investment.
Okay, but
Send
you
it towards people like that.
You joke, but like in sports, that is super real. Like passing things down. I've been watching a lot of baseball recently, and they always have like bumping in from break. There's some like ad read like, "Welcome back to the bottom of the fourth. This is your RAV fourth inning." And one of them they do once a game is for the Phillies newborn club, which you can pay $50. You can pay $50, and you will get sent a Phillies newborn club package presented by Temple Health that gives you a personalized birth certificate, personalized birth announcement photo, and like a Phillies onesie for your child.
What?
What?
How are they allowed to distribute birth certificates? There is no... Only the government should be distributing birth certificates.
But apparently you can get like a themed one, and if you get it like filled out, it can act as a legal birth certificate.
No. What?
Can you imagine? Mom, I need to sign up for my insurance. Can you get my birth certificate out of the like folder that you keep it in? They bring it out and it's a Sentinel's birth certificate. And you're like, Mom, why the fuck did you get me a Sentinel's birth certificate when I was born?
That's so awesome. We need to get that though. Like that should be the next thing. What is the Sen fan club thing called? Sen Society. You donate $1,000 to them, and they get your child a birth cert. What about my Sentinel's driver's license? Oh, officer, this is my legal way to get through in my car.
You would never get served. I mean, everyone would know that you're under 21. There's no
bringing
over 21
a fake
fans.
ID to a bar, and it just says Sentinels on it. Like, yes, let me in.
Oh, I swear it's legit. Please, Mr. Bouncer.
Okay. That's
it's
enough.
Boostio working at the bouncer job because he's been retired already.
Oh no, poor guy. All right, well there's some big games coming up for Americas, so I think it might be a gap next week for a Plat Chat episode. Well, we're all going to be in LA working on that, but we will be back after that for Plat Chat 182, I think it is. Dan, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. All right, well, folks, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in a few weeks. Goodbye.